What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to How to Trade, formerly known as the Midday Show. That is your girl Adara. I am Sharif, and as per usual, we're just gonna wait for everyone to migrate on over from the other stream. We already have a couple of OGs ready there in the chat. We got Darwin, we got Pillsbury, Pedro Khan. We obviously have the world's best moderator, Bears versus Bulls, the sweet and salt nut. We got the boring man, Mateus Lane, Jay Biz, Ponzi Fonzie, Callum Mitchell-Miller, Luke. We got Mr. Long Shorts. We got Ronaldo. We got Jill Wittenberg. Sorry, it's moving quickly, so I couldn't see. Big Adam DeLuce, Naps, Mr. Weeds, Jay Christian V, David Sparks, Abraham 447, and then obviously we got Molfar, we got Fog, we got JG, we got the Gauntlet, baby. Everybody in the house for today's lesson. Adara, we are talking about, believe it or not, we're talking about earnings. We're talking about momentum earnings strategy today. Specifically, the earnings momentum strategy. So the first heading there is what we are talking about. Let me just deal with this Apple trade real quick because I got to get out of this as it breaks down below my level. So let's get right to it. I don't have any trades to talk about. Do you have anything you want to talk about before we start?
I do, yeah. Oh. I am in, I mean, I don't know if I want to talk about it. I'm joking, it's fine right now. Meta just took this around VWAP, got in a little bit earlier at first, just to kind of secure the bag. Well, we haven't secured any bag yet. We have the whole thing in still. But I basically liked how we were holding here just above VWAP. Then I added, when we got back to VWAP, we're holding VWAP. If we have just this decisive VWAP break, I am outie. I will say sayonara to Meta, slide out of its DMs. Right now, though, I don't think this is a bad look. I do have plans for profit takers. I have a resting profit taker, Beakwater, or what have you, around that 467, 69 area, just because it's slightly below that earlier area of support. Then when we get to that peak with that very scary candle around that 469 area, I shall be taking some profit out there as well. So just kind of letting this one work. I would feel a lot more confident in this trade if we can take that 467 with the swiftness. Right now we're just bobbing around. Also not a trade I'm involved in, but I'm very curious to hear what Evan Spiegel has to say on CNBC.
Yes,
that should be important.
Absolutely. That is going to be very interesting. There you saw the Katina man talking about Snapchat today. We'll have to see what the rest of the day brings for Snap. But today we are talking about the earnings momentum strategy. Very simple on its face, gets a little bit more complicated as we go on. So this is one of the powerful approaches that you can take that capitalizes on a company's historical performance during earnings season. You'll know what I mean in a second. So here, basically, earnings momentum focuses on stocks that consistently beat estimates. That's what we're looking for. The names that consistently get upgrades, price target upgrades from analysts, buy ratings, outperform ratings, things that are companies that are increasing their revenue consistently year over year, quarter over quarter. That's what you're kind of looking for here. And you're looking for that trend to continue and to take that bad boy long or short. It works both ways. If you're reducing revenue quarter over quarter, the short works equally as well. So what is essentially earnings momentum? Let's talk a little bit about that. Earnings momentum refers to the tendency of certain stocks to continue their positive price trends after consistently surpassing earnings expectations. Traders using this strategy seek to identify companies with a track record of beating earning estimates. So before we go on, you're gonna say, Sharif, well, how do I figure out what a company is doing day in, day out with their earnings, as well as whether they're beating expectations? Are they increasing revenue, increasing profit? Here is what I have on my platform. It's called the Fundamentals Explorer. Trade Ideas has the exact same thing. It's a hell of a source for fundamental analysis. What you're looking for here is what this has been doing. This is Apple's financials here. So we're looking at Apple. We're looking at December 31st, 2022. Revenue was 108. And you can see here, Apple had 3 declining quarters in a row with declining revenue growth. Okay? Whereas it topped out December 31st, 2022. And it kept decreasing quarter after quarter. Now, one thing I should mention is when you're doing a revenue analysis, you should be comparing to quarter versus the previous year's quarter. So if you're looking at December 31st, 2022, you don't necessarily want to compare it to April 1st, 2023. You want to compare it to December 31st, 2021. because quarters have their own dynamics. Like we know that when you go into the Christmas season, revenue obviously increases as people look to, make purchases at that time. So make sure you're comparing apples to apples and oranges on that one, okay? Why earnings momentum though? What are we gonna do with this? Companies that consistently outperform earnings expectations may experience sustained positive sentiment from investors. Positive earnings surprises often lead to increased analyst recommendations and upward revisions in price targets, fueling buying interest. Another way you can have a look at, see what analysts are looking at is you can look at the analyst ratings. Can I show the screen for a second, guys? Just keep it on the screen because I'm going to be using this a lot. So analyst ratings, you can have a look over here on Apple. There's 27 buy, 12 hold, 2 sell. And then you can also look at the analyst forecast. What are the analysts predicting for Apple's revenue in Q1 of 04, Q3 of 04, Q4 of 04, et cetera. And you can have a look at what they're projecting. And so I'm not telling you to put everything and bet the farm on this, but this helps guide your analysis to see what analysts are forecasting, what it's done in the past. Does it have quarters that it's stronger than others? If so, you take those long. Does it have quarters that are weaker than others? Perhaps look short there. So that is what I wanted to mention. Questions or comments there, Adair?
Yeah, so I think it's interesting too because so basically you're waiting for the analyst reaction to the earnings and then building off of that momentum as well.
No. No, you're not waiting for analysts. You're looking ahead to see what the analysts are predicting. And you're also looking to see historically how that company has done specifically on that. That's what I mean.
Okay, yeah, sorry. I just wanted to make sure I was understanding the analyst part correctly. So it's basically like everything has to do with historical movement and then the height before the movement.
Yeah,
okay.
You're looking for patterns.
Appreciate
like, when we do technical analysis, we're always looking for patterns, right? And so this is no different here. So identifying, and that's what that means, IDing, earnings momentum. That's what the EM is. We can't fit all that into the topics manager there. So that's what EM means, earnings momentum, and IDing is identifying, obviously, okay? So some of the screening criteria. Now we could get a little laborious in the analysis of identifying earnings momentum stocks. We'll try to keep it brief initially, and then when we get into the slower time period, we'll talk a little bit more details. There is a lot more to go over in this section, but for the purpose of brevity, we're going to keep it short. So looking for stocks with a history of consecutive earnings beats over several quarters. So that's one thing you're looking for right there. Did they beat estimates quarter over quarter, year over year? You're looking for something that has a pattern consistent with that. Second, you're analyzing the company's revenue growth, its profit margins, and other key financial metrics to ensure sustained financial health. And you're going to say, well, how the hell do I know all these financial metrics? Right over here, if you come to the screen, we can look at key ratios, okay? So this gives you the key ratios versus what the industry is doing. For example, PE, that's one of the main ones that's used there. And then we have price to tangible book, price to book, price to sales, price to equity. There are a lot of different metrics that you can use. You have to narrow it down to what you think is the most important, okay? And you also have to consider qualitative factors such as new product launches, market expansion, or other catalysts that could contribute to future positive surprises. For example, if you had gone long Apple in anticipation of the Vision Pro, you probably were sorely disappointed. We kind of knew that this was not going to be the big mover like the iPhone was initially. This is a nascent product, unlikely to kind of move the needle first off because just the amount that they're selling. They're not selling enough. So you need to look, are we launching new products? What is the macroeconomic environment for that particular industry? For example, if, AI, everything has been doing well in AI. You got the software names, the Google, the Microsofts that are moving, the NVIDIAs, the AMDs, the Broadcom. So be able to actually narrow your analysis to that particular sector to figure out how it is doing. Questions or comments, Adair?
Yeah, so I think it's interesting here too, because I think when you look at all of these this information, you can totally understand why it's important to hear what analysts are saying, right? Because there might be certain metrics they're paying more attention to that might factor more into the earnings or into the earnings reaction. And I think one thing too I want to mention, I've used this example time and time again, but I think the Min Chi Kuo before the Apple earnings last week, I know we're using another Apple example here, but why not? He was basically saying like, hey, based on my supply chain surveys and my knowledge of Apple within the Asian markets, there might be some concerns, specifically with suppliers with the iPhone deliveries. And so he ended up being totally right. and because people are keeping an eye on that, and also China sales with all of the stuff going on with China and the iPhones, those ended up really factoring into earnings. And the fact that we had lower iPhone deliveries or lower iPhone sales, in China ended up hurting the earnings reaction, even though it had its first profitable quarter, I think in something like we had 4 quarters of loss, and we had a gain here. So Apple actually did have some positive moments, but because people were more focusing on those numbers, it ended up hurting the stock in that way. So I think, again, this is another way of knowing, A, what people are going to be reacting to more, and B, what are analysts looking for, because that can maybe impact the momentum. That would be my take on that.
Yeah,
thank you so
absolutely. And then also using analyst estimates. So utilizing financial news platforms or brokerage tools to help assess the analyst estimates and consensus forecast for upcoming earnings. So we can look at over here, analyst forecast. What are the analysts looking for Q2 of 2024? This is exactly what it is. They're basically predicting an upward surprise versus a downward surprise, okay? And that's a kind of delineated there by the green. I don't know if you can see that too much. The green little chevron that is pointing up, that is what the current forecast is. That could change, obviously, as time goes on and new information is received and digested. Also, compare these estimates by analysts with the company's historical performance to gauge the likelihood of another positive surprise. So how many times have analysts been forecasting an increase in revenue for Apple while it reported on that quarter a decrease in revenue? Just giving you an example, or that could be for profit as well. So you look at PE, how much EPS, not PE, earnings per share that they were able to generate, because that has a lot to do with expenses as well. So that's what you're looking for. You're looking to see whether this company is consistently meeting analyst expectations or beating, and how it's doing on a trend. So if you were to look at revenue growth, is it trending up, down? Profitability, is it trending up or down? And base your assessment based on that. And so that is the identifying earnings and momentum stock heading. We'll talk more about that, though, because there is much more to be said during the slower time when we slow down a little bit, maybe in an hour or two. So execution and risk management, the last part here with respect to earnings momentum trade. So executing the trade. Once a potential earnings momentum stock is identified, traders may consider going long before the earnings release, anticipating a positive price movement. Now, obviously, this is anticipating, not participating. So this is not my cup of tea here, okay? I would definitely wait, personally, this is just my opinion, I would wait for the earnings release to come out and then, miss some of the move by design, obviously, and then participate in it when I know that it has actually beat or met or whatever the result is. Alternatively, some traders wait for the earnings release, assessing the initial market reaction before entering a position. That is more down my alley there. And then there's also risk management with this system. You also have to, like with everything we do with trading, you have to manage risk. While earnings momentum can lead to significant gains, it's essential, obviously, to manage risk. Make sure you're setting up stop losses to limit potential losses in case the market reacts unexpectedly. You're going to say, well, how do I know where to put my stop loss? I mean, when we're doing technical charting here, I know what the lower low is. I know what the opening or the closing print is. In this particular case, I would be looking for, if it was a long, I'd put my stop loss right before the price before the earnings release. So if the earnings came out at 4:05 p.m., I'd be putting my stop loss however much lower than the 4 p.m. close, okay? So that's what I'd be basing it off. I'd be looking for a move up if I was bullish on that name. Conversely, I'd put it above the 4 p.m. close if it was something that I'd be looking to take south. So make sure you are managing risk on that, and then consider position sizing as well based on risk tolerance to ensure a balanced and controlled approach to trading. That goes without saying, especially in a more volatile time for a stock, which is definitely earnings release. You have to make sure that you are sizing in accordingly. What you would be taking at maybe 10 a.m. or 10:30 a.m. with a predefined level is not what you'd be taking on a completely up in the air trade in the aftermarket with less liquidity. So you need to understand the context in which you're trading. You're trading in the aftermarket or the pre-market, unless you're waiting for the next day, the open, which by definition in the aftermarket and the pre-market you have less volume. and the spread's typically a little bit wider during that time. So if you're going to get in and get out quickly, you're going to get cut up likely on the spread. Make sure you understand, again, the context in which you're trading Adair.
Yeah, so I have, there's one comment in the chat I really want to address, but before I get to that, I guess I have a question. So do you find that with regards to with risk management and planning your stops and your outs, and I guess also this has to do with gaps as well, do you think that gaps are harder to fill when we gap up or down during earnings? So example, that Snapchat 30% gap down, the Palantir gap up yesterday. Like, do you find in your experience that those gaps are a bit harder to fill? You know, the whole idea that all gaps fill, which again isn't always true, but do you find because of sometimes the huge gaps we can see in earnings, we have a harder time filling them?
So you mean like specific to earnings gaps, are they more likely than other gaps to be filled? Is that the question?
More or less likely, I guess. Yeah, or do you find there's
I don't
a
know.
difference there?
That's a quantitative analysis that we have to do that I haven't done, to be honest with you.
I understand.
But yeah, good question. I mean, what are the odds of the gap getting filled if it's generated from earnings versus maybe from a mid-earnings season catalyst, for example, a new product launch, what have you? I don't know the answer to that. What was the question from the chat, though?
The question in the chat here that I liked, and I think is valid, I think at least something for us to reflect on, because I don't know if there will be a solid answer, is from Huang family. Thank you so much. How about AI stocks like NVIDIA and AMD that ran up huge before the earnings? And I think that's a really good question. I guess the idea that are these more or less likely to have a larger move after?
And that's why we're looking for analyst forecasts. What are the analysts who actually analyze the industry itself? And a lot of that is based upon orders that they're getting that, like, for example, we know the hyperscalers are the ones buying these H100 and the A100 chips from NVIDIA. They're the ones buying these hand over fist. So a lot of the times that report of the purchase comes into an analyst vis-a-vis a third party. You don't necessarily get that information from NVIDIA before earnings telling you, okay, well, I've received 10,000 orders from Apple. No, you typically get it from an Apple or an Apple, or not subsidiary, but an Apple affiliate that the order was made. So when the analyst receives that information, they're able to kind of forecast what kind of earnings NVIDIA is going to have. So that's what I'm saying. Keep your focus on what the analysts are saying prior to that, and keep your focus on what the company, how the company has responded or how it's done versus what analysts were predicting. Does it have a history of beating and outperforming analyst expectations, or does it have a history of missing? And obviously, you're going to have to look at the time frame here. Well, how far back do I go? Do I go 2-3 years? Do I do 1 year? That's going to be up to you. That's going to be based upon your back testing. You're going to have to see what works for you. But that's what the focus of what I want to say here is try to gauge how that industry is doing based upon what analysts are doing, and also understanding the macroeconomic environment. A lot of people were saying, oh, NVIDIA is so overpriced, I can't stomach its market cap and its PE. Well, the next earnings came out, and all of a sudden, that market cap, that PE, absolutely made sense. In fact, it's only trading at 30 times, and that's basically what Apple's trading at right now. So what may have seemed to be, a little bit out there, all of a sudden makes a bit more sense when that earnings report comes out. So that's all I would say. Do your own homework. Just make sure to look at the trends and make sure to manage risk and to size in accordingly, Adair.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Also, thank you, Tony Price, for, I like this comment here. I think regarding your gap question, not all companies are equal. Therefore, it would depend a lot on what company is gapping up or down. Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think, I totally get what you mean with regards to quantitative analysis and looking because you're right, not all companies are equal and different, like we were saying earlier too, right? Different companies are going to react to earnings for different reasons. Like sometimes you can have a miss across the board, like Levi's missed across the board for earnings, missed the estimates that they were providing were way below what analysts were expecting.
Yes, ma'am.
But they had some layoff announcements, so the market was like, and we had a nice spike up on earnings for that. So I think I really appreciate what you're saying. I think because companies can move for different reasons, it makes sense that the gaps would be, of different values depending, or I guess reacting in different ways. So I think that's
Yeah, it's bang on there. All right, I don't have anything right now that I'm in. We're scouring the watch list at the moment to see what I like. Let's look at the side charts over here, analyze how the Mag 7 are doing. And every time I open up CNBC, it's like this talk about how we have to change the Mag 7. It's got to be the Super 6 or whatever, the Fabulous 5. I don't know what they want, man. Just leave them alone.
The Core
I like
4,
this.
I don't know. I'm thinking that could be the next one.
I think that's a good one too. The fabulous four, the core four.
The Beatles, the Fab Four.
Yeah, right. Okay, so Meta, obviously the strongest bad boy on the day today, up 2 and almost 3/4%, 470 top right now on META, coming down and holding VWAP. So we're going to be watching Meta here. It's putting in lower highs, and that dip here at 1050 below VWAP got bought up real quick right there, and right back up into 469 we went. Let's see if Meta can hold VWAP. This could present a possible buying opportunity here if the market is able to hold up. So keeping an eye on Meta. Amazon, super zigzaggy, but it is putting in higher lows, okay? I'm not going to trade Amazon. I feel like the range per candle is just too much for me to stomach at the moment. So I'm going to put that one on the side. Apple is heading down. And this is a good possible short here on Apple. We're getting consistently lower highs. We haven't gotten that lower low quite yet. That lower low is going to have to take us below 188 and 2/3. It did hold up initially, though, at the pivot. If you're wondering what this dotted green line is on my chart, that is pivot points. It did hold up there quite well. We're on the way down there again, breaking through 189 now, or trying to break through 189. Let's see if we hold up at pivots. Apple definitely on watch here for a short. Softy looking awfully similar to Meta, even though it's not up as much, 1.5 or 1.4% right now on Softy. The only thing is it hasn't come back into VWAP, and VWAP right now on Softy is at 410. So you'd love that $10 whole dollar level if we have some confluence between that between the whole dollar level and VWAP. Definitely looking to pick up Softy on a dip into 410. Look at this price action initially. We had that top at 410, so we have price action resistance there as well, not just VWAP, not just the $10 level. So I'm going to keep my eye on Softy. In fact, I'm going to put an alert. So if it comes back into, I'm going to put it above 410. So I'm alerted on the way down. Put up 410.20. And if it comes into that level, I will be notified. Quickly on to the last couple over here. Google and Tesla look awfully similar, except Google has a bit of a higher high over here. They both have that kind of V-shaped recovery. Google, obviously the strongest. Oh, no, Tesla stronger of the name right now, up 0.75. But it is that lower high that is kind of keeping me a little suspicious on Tesla. This is the pre-market high. When we broke through that 190.50, we're at 186.5 now. So even though, you know, we're up more on the day than Google, Tesla's price chart does not look as bullish. And this is the look here on Google where we made that higher high above the pre-market through 145. So keeping an eye on these names. I gotta tell you, I don't really like Google and Tesla at the moment. But this one I definitely like. And this one just dipped off VWAP again. NVDA up again on the day, about 1%, was up higher. It touched 695, 694.99 to be exact. Just got that dip at 688 VWAP, and right back up we go through 689. Let's see if this bad boy can hold up on the day, putting in higher lows here, Dara.
Yeah, NVIDIA is an interesting one for sure. I know someone was saying NVIDIA could see like 1,000. I was seeing that in the chat. I mean, I think that we were talking about this the other day. NVIDIA's highest price target is 1,100.
Okay.
So, you know, not at all a bad, you know, a ridiculous number. I do want to talk about this meta trade because I'm happy with this. The final exit could have been a bit better, but you know what? I'm going to talk about the trade. My initial point of entry was 467, so not the best entry. We're holding there for a little bit. Then I added right at VWAP, so the cost base got a little bit better there. Got out some. This was just like scalpulating, looking at the book, seeing areas of resistance. That 467.30. The rest out, this was very much a planned out, actually coinciding now with the EMA, but also where we had that previous support there, that 467.70. The plan for the rest of it was going to be that 468.90, and I say that just because it was right before that previous area of resistance with that big topping tail candle there. Alas, we did not make it. We were about 40 cents shy. We came back down. I got out at about 467. So from where I added the rest of the position, that was about a 50 penny winner, simulator pennies. So yeah, I mean, I like this. I got out where I did just because I was like, let's secure some of the bag. Let's secure half a bag for now. You know what I mean? I don't want to leave too much on the table here, which is why I got out where I did. And now, you know, we're coming back to VWAP. If we test VWAP, I might get in. I would be very cautious because I do not like these lower highs and lower lows. That does make me nervous. Although, as Sharif said, there were buyers with a viciousness at VWAP, and that's why, you know, that's why I was inspired to enter in the first place. We'll have to see what we have to see, but right now we're getting a little dicey here, I believe. Also, there's a couple things here, you know, I wanted to mention as well. It's none of your business talking about the CEO of Snap, Evan Spiegel, going on CNBC, and indeed he does. I have a shout out very much to Benzinga having some updates for us here. So one of these, Evan Spiegel saying the key for us is to build performance ad business. We are seeing some real progress in advertising, and I think advertisers are looking for an alternative to big tech ad companies. Other note here from Mr. Spiegel is he's discussing the layoffs, saying they'd like us to move faster. These changes help. So that's what's happening there. Also, Uber Technology CEO, whose name is Dara, saying that they're still pushing in EV space. Car rentals is an exciting area. So some notes from two earnings-related CEOs today. Just wanted to put those out there quickly. Also, Nick W. saying, do you see app being green light above previous support? I'm in a swing, wondering if I should be waiting for that next resistance for profit-taking spot around 56. Let's look at app. Is that maybe an NQ? So there we go, it's an NQ. So app, that is App Lovin' Corp. I like that name. Let's see if the market's loving it. No, I'm joking. Daily, here we are. Look at the daily and the weekly here.
What is this app?
APP, it's App Lovin' is the company.
Oh.
I mean, I see a lot of support around this 36. Pretty key here, I think. Nice forward on 36, but we saw a slightly higher low of that, higher low of 38, then a higher low of 42. I don't think it's a bad look for sure. I mean, definitely stronger than we have been. Possible areas of resistance we seem like we overcame because that 44, 43-ish area once, twice, thrice, and then we're moving above it to make some higher highs. So I think that's certainly interesting. Next resistance I'd be kind of curious about would be that 46, 48 area, but again, slightly higher highs here as well. Nick W. asking about the weekly, so let's look at the weekly here, my 5-day. Oh, the chart. I was so happy the chart behaved because it doesn't always do that. Let me see the question again. Above previous support. Yeah, I think I definitely don't think it's a bad look. Like I said, I think that 36 support is a nice look. I think, breaking out of that 44 resistance is key. Now we're at that 47 area right now. In terms of areas of resistance, potentially, I know you mentioned 56. I would concur with 56 because that would be 2021 in May and then 2021 August. We had that twice, that double bottom. I think that could be potentially an area there, that 56 area. Yeah, I don't think, I don't want to leave no advice, but I definitely don't think it's a bad look at all. The other area I would be cognizant of is I'd like to see us break above that 49. Now, this seems kind of arbitrary, but I say that because look at where we had that previous bottom. That's going to be around that 49. So I think breaking above that 49 would certainly be interesting. Then I would be very cognizant of what we do at 56. Also, I really like the smell of that hand sanitizer.
Yeah,
that someone just used.
That's not bad.
Oh, that smells really nice.
That's not bad at all. It's Steph. Yeah.
Oh,
She's
I like
going
it.
to town back there with that thing.
But yes, that was very fruity. I feel like I'm in a botanical garden.
What's
I love
going
it.
on, Katina man?
Yeah, I know. It smells so nice.
It's stinking up a storm over here. Yeah. All right, Roblox, Katina man printing on RBLX, and I got to tell you, I made a bit of a boo-boo. I did not put RBLX on the side chart here. We were just about to go over the small cap gappers, but we're going to put RBLX with them today because I have no other place to put them. So,
almost my number one.
Say that again, Katina man.
Almost number one.
The Katina man's almost number one stock right now on RBLX. So aggressive is that move. Shout out to him. Where'd you get long? 43? 43.10, I knew.
But people will know that we were battling the whole way down.
He was battling the whole way down, so
That's why we're happy.
he's happy because of that. I mean, it was a gratifying victory there. 43.10 long Katina man. Hit it. Palantir, how many dollars in the money, Katina man? $1.60 in the money now on PLTR, and I can see people already talking about that. Mr. Memes yelling about it. Steph B talking about it. Charles D. Everybody's yelling about Palantir right now, and with good reason, because it is a pump city right now on this name. So let's pull up PLTR. Good look here. Let's just throw in the ticker, PLTR. Guys, if we can put up the chart. Chart, guys. No problem. So great look on Palantir today. Yesterday we closed out at that 2188 level, and look at that. This bad boy was running all day yesterday, so some good positioning in this name before that big boy move up here today on Palantir. We're going to keep an eye on that. VWAP 2275. We'll have to see how that one ends up acting. I'm not going to punch in Palantir long at these levels. Highly extended for me, and I need something to retrace before getting back into it. Can we just focus on the charts? Because I'm gonna be talking about these bad boys right here. So Holo obviously is the big boy on the day in small cap gapper world. This one absolutely shot up from the 150 level it closed out at yesterday, and there goes 973, just a smidge below 10. Coming into a key support level right now, though, is Holo. This is that consolidation top that we had, about that $8 level before we broke through it aggressively at around 11.10. This is a very interesting level here on Holo. Let's see if it holds up, and it's also pulling in to that 10 EMA like a magnet. Shout out to the Kenobi. Let's see if it bounces up. Right now, getting some buying at $8 is Holo. Whether this one runs up and maybe touches back at 10, we'll have to wait and see. But it's a good look here. Be careful with this one. Lots of volatility on this name, and I believe it is a low float name. It is sub 1 million float, 950,000 shares with a $50 million market cap. Awfully volatile. Be careful with this one. The other name on the day was GLT, but that's since broken down below VWAP, and it has not broken the pre-market high above 3. So that one is on my S list and not tradable as a small cap gapper. We're going to leave that one be. Snapchat, RBLX, we'll keep an eye on those, and Palantir as well. So those are sadly the only small cap gappers I have on the day. I know that there were others running. Adair brought you one that was sub $1, I think, NVIV. Alt?
Yeah, AULT.
You didn't mention NVIV?
I think I brought it up like at the big desk, but I didn't bring it up in small cap recap. Yeah.
Yeah, no. I remember you mentioning that one because I looked. I'm like, oh, it's not showing up on my scanner because sub $1. Right, so NVIV, another one. We'll have a look there. All right, we just wet our beak right now. There we go on NVDA to the high side. We're gonna wet our beak again. $1 in the money on this one. Let's see if we can move off VWAP and through 690 on NVDA, just de-risking a little bit here and there.
Congrats to you. Yeah, that's a fabulous look here. Yeah, Mr. Longshort's pointing out I completely missed the meta dip buy, and like it flew by me. We dipped, we ripped. If you were involved in this, congratulations. But I am still seeing, like, I don't want to say flat bottom break yet. However, I think the breakdown from VWAP could be momentous should we get there. I would like to see what we do because I know I was watching the book on this. This 468.50 and some change was a sticking point for Meta. Or I guess not a sticking point because it couldn't stick and it fell down. We're going to have to see what happens with Meta here. Congrats if you're involved in this long. Yeah, I completely missed that one, Mr. Long Shorts. My bad indeed. I was not long or short. Also, IWM. I guess I know I'm involved in this one again. I liked this VWAP hold. I like ranging this. I do not get involved if I do not know where it's going, but I like this VWAP hold. And I know we have slightly lower highs, so I'm going to be accounting for that, but absolutely taking part of this position out 193.20, the rest out slightly before that 193.40 area. Of course, we'll be watching the book because that is what I do. Because I like to have my cross-referencing. Thank you. But yeah, so enough of a position that we can kind of piece this out around the road, like like little drops of breadcrumbs for the birds. I don't know, that was a weird analogy. But yeah, I'm getting out of this. I want to wait, see what we do, like decisively kind of below VWAP here. This earlier pre-market consolidation, or I guess this area around this 198, 192.80, 198. Oh my gosh. 192.80 area on IWM is going to be of interest to me because, consolidation is also where we had some of these wicks of selling that were overwhelmed by buyers earlier. So just areas I will be cognizant of. But yeah, we'll see what we do here. I like how we're holding VWAP. In retrospect, these little candles here making me a little bit nervous that these tails might be a sign buyers are a little overwhelmed. Going to be watching the book. Going to be seeing what's cooking. Let me see some mentions of PayPal. Let's see if it's our pal today. We have earnings tonight for PayPal. See how it's cashing out. That was not a very good PayPal analogy, but hey, we did what we can. PayPal and what?
Well,
and
it's got the Cash App, so
that's
perfect.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Go on.
Oh, okay. I like the look of this. So we had that we were building all pre-market to the 64.50 high. Then we fell with the viciousness right at open. A little bit of consolidation here earlier where we were topping and turning. And when I say consolidation, I mean like kind of indecision. This 63.70 to that 64 area. Then we fall again with the viciousness, 62.90. Come back, and I like this is what I want to point out. We come back to around where we had this top and turn earlier, right at the open, and then we fall back down. So I'm seeing stutter steps to the downside. I will be very cognizant of what we do around 63. Let me look at the daily. Let's see if the earnings shock the world. I think that'll certainly be something to keep an eye on. Okay, let me zoom out. I mean, yeah, not a wild guess to see what day the Shock the World stuff came out. But I think, yeah, I think certainly we have a bit of a general move to the upside starting in that November to remember. Nice gap up here, coiling up. We see that had a bit of a downfall, but also this double bottom, 57 is interesting to me because look where we were consolidating earlier in September to early October. And then again, we have that bottom in mid-August. So I think this 57 area, for whatever reason, very key for PayPal.
Okay.
Kind of coiling up, did not do anything to reach the high, that 68 area we're kind of far away from. But I think just, and I would be cognizant of 68, should we gap up? I would be cognizant of 57, should we gap down? That is my attempt at PayPal earnings analysis. How's NVIDIA going? I see peak wetters.
Yeah, the peak wetters are there. It's just, you know, it's still above VWAP, so we're not clearing VWAP with any vigor at the moment. Was able to scale in right at that dip into that 688. That was my best entry. Best out so far, 689.75. Looking for the peak wetter, the next profit takers on the other side of 690 at 690.25. I zoomed in a little bit on the chart so you can see the entries and exits, because when I zoom out, it becomes a little convoluted. This is exactly what I mean. You can't see where I'm getting in, where I'm getting out. So just excuse the zoom in at the moment. I am a little concerned about NVIDIA, and I'm going to explain why here. We are at 17.8 right now on the future. If we give up the ghost at 17.8, this could be down with NVIDIA, and we could end up getting stopped out. The look for me here on NVDA, since I've de-risked a lot up here, is going to be the break of this lower low. So if we make a newer low and we don't hold the VWAP, that's it. That's going to be the end of the trade for me. But I'm also watching for sure the future on my side screen here to make sure we are not dipping too aggressively below 17.8. The tail and the dog, the tail wags the dog. You know, that is that whole analysis there, what's moving what. Jay Lee, sorry, I was in meetings all morning. New all-time high on the indices, question mark, question mark. I expect a huadunk, LOL. Rates are not dropping anytime soon, just hasn't really sunk in yet. Shout out to Jay. Look, man, you've been getting a lot of mixed opinions. We had Papa Powell on Sunday say the market's way too exuberant. I'm not cutting nearly as many times as the market says. Then you had Neil Kashkari yesterday say, well, 2 to 3, or this morning actually, 2 to 3 rate cuts seems decent based upon where we are. That could change if the data changes. Remember, we should play that drinking game. How many times Jerome Powell says data dependent?
I would love that.
Darwin mentioned that in the chat before, and I stole that from him, so shout out to Darwin. I think it's absolutely appropriate.
It's not inaccurate. You watch one of it, he's always talking about data. It's going to be data dependent.
So data dependent. Okay, we got you, Jerome. I think I agree with you, Jay. We're going to have to see what this market does. I mean, predicting these rates right now is a bit of a tough game. Buck Wild the Skunk. What?
I love that.
That is a name. Okay, Buck Wild the Skunk. Adara, Sharif, long rum off 750. Big announcement coming end of the month. More of a swing play. Do you know something we don't know, my man?
I heard someone else mentioning that the other day, though, too. I think rum must be announcing this, like, internally, and the people who are following the stalker know, because I hear this is not the first time I've heard in this chat someone saying rum announcement. But
Interesting.
They like teasing out their announcements, so they like rolling them out. So we'll see. Okay.
We'll have to see what rum does. I personally just looked at my blotter real quick. Didn't see anything about rum, but tag me in the chat. I'd love to know what you're referring to there. Biz Wajid Pa. Sorry, I butchered your name. Sharif, please clean shave your face. Be man. Okay. I don't know how to react to that. I have no idea how to react to that. But sure. Okay. Okay. We're moving on. All right, baby. Yeah, I know there's more Ram. I just chose not to read it. But yeah, thank you. Ram is active in the chat. Anytime you see live, Trader TV Live with the yellow highlight, that's either the Chilean Nightmare or Ram. So keep your eye there on the chat. Looks like we're holding 17.8 right now, Adara. But I got to tell you, I think I might have chosen the wrong horse to put my money behind here in NVIDIA, because Meta is popping up, baby. Here comes 469 on Meta, and 411 just got taken again on Softy. Both those names strong at the moment. What's your look?
Yeah, Meta, I mean, not caring about my old feelings, because we were waiting for that 468.90 print, and Meta was like, oh, actually, like, I'd rather not, which is fine. That's fine. That's her decision. That's okay. On to the next trade. I'm still in the IWM. I have nothing to report, so I'm not going to. It's still cooking. Congrats to anybody still in that Meta long. You know, Meta was like, oh, you thought I was going to be scary with my lower high? Nah, going to make another higher one. Oh. So congrats to you, Meta. Congrats to anybody in Meta. So I'm not just congratulating a stock, because that's kind of funny. Also, Ramin going hey in the chat. So shout out to her as always. Shout out, also, Anurag, interesting question here. Just off topic, why was Nat Gas called the Widowmaker? I made a note on my charts not to trade, but I forgot the reason.
I don't actually know. The Katina Man is the one that called it that, and I just ran with it because, you know, he's not going to say anything that's wildly inaccurate. We can Google that at some point today, find out why it is. I'm assuming because it's highly unpredictable, and whenever you think it's going to do one thing, it does the other. I mean, I lost $1.25 on UNG. That is a well-documented L swing trade on my part, and, you know, it didn't widow make me because I definitely always stick to my losses. Adira got scared because I was smashing the desk. I love that. No, for real though. I will advertise my losses any day of the week, guys. You know I lost $1.50 on, what's it called? On Liato, I lost $1.25 per share on UNG. I lost $1 on Plug that goes back into last year. I'll never tell you how well I'm doing on a trade because I don't want to jinx it, but I am more than willing to tell you how much I took an L on, and that's just a little peculiarity of mine. But that's neither here nor there. Just took out some here, Adira, on NVDA through the break of the $0.25. Again, that's about a $1.25 winner. Reason I'm de-risking here is because I'm a little nervous about us holding 17.8. And if this huadunks, it's a $700 stock, so it can go against me and rinse me quite easily. So de-risking a little bit. The beak wetter though, the profit taker at 6.90 remains intact. Looking for that 6.90 reclaim. We haven't had that 6.90 reclaim in quite some time. That takes us all the way back into about, you know, 11.15 or so. We're really having trouble breaking through that $10 area right now. Let's see if we get it right back up. We go into 6.90.20. We're gonna have to cross quite a bit for me to get printed here. I'm seeing the ask at 28s, but the bid is still in the single digits. There we go to the top side of Dara, but a $2 winner now, even more. Let's see if we can print on NVDA. So far, so good, up 1.25%.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get out of Meta because I was like, oh, let's try short scalping Meta because we failed. What did we even do? What was we even? Yeah, the logic here was we were failing that 469. The 469 failure was well noted. I was talking about it earlier. I was yapping about this. I was like, you know what? Maybe Meta will fail this 469. And it did. We did. They candled the upside, and then Meta, and I was watching the book on that, and then Meta decided to trick me and not fail 469. You know what? That's okay. But I just need to get out of this one because I have no faith in it right now, and that's fine. I might go, I probably should have gone long on this and not short, but I was just kind of watching. We got above the 469, and so that's why I have to leave, but I'm not getting filled for some reason. So, yeah, there we go. We're filled. Thank you, Meta. Nothing more to report in IWM. I wish I had something to tell you. She chops, she churns, she stays within 10 cents of my entry point, so we're not leaving quite yet. Although I will say the patience has to be fully packed. I am trading paper money here with regards to some people asking about that. Yeah, I am in the Sims still. But you know that meta trade, management is a huge thing, right? And so I managed it okay-ish. I just got it, but I mean, probably not the best entry in the first place. Tis what it is, but we did fail that 469 again. Looks like we're coming down. I'm not getting involved in this either way. Budweiser also on my watch. So we had that move up yesterday, and look, okay, I like this VWAP hold. This 65-20-ish area. I also like that that's where we had that pre-market area earlier. So we come back, we swing up, then we shoot back to the upside, come back down to VWAP. We're having a little bit of trouble with that 65.50, so I'll have to see where we go from here. But it's something that is notable to me, something I'm keeping my little eye on. Also, NVIDIA looking really good. I know you're involved in that name too, but I was just going to pull it up on my chart if no one minds too terribly. So we can celebrate Sharif and his little move there, pumping his fist. And look at this. Yeah, we eclipsing that earlier high with that very scary top and tail candle at 690. The beaks are getting wet.
They are.
Yeah, I mean, really good look here. I wish I had more to report. Looking for more trades. I will talk about Lily for a moment, if I may, because Mademoiselle is is try to do something here. I like that the 730 rejection. We curl back down, we come back, we reject, and these top and tail candles are scary indeed. I want to see what we do at VWAP because this VWAP take was aggressive, and if we take it again, maybe we'll get involved. If we can go short, we'll probably get involved to that 724. But I don't, participate. Don't anticipate.
I love it.
And right now, Lily needs to tell me what she wants to do, and if she doesn't tell me anything, then we're not going to talk to her.
Money, 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 money.
There we go, Adara. It's Print City over here on NVDA. We're $3 and a quarter in the money now as we pump up here. We hold VWAP to a dang T. But we are at a critical level. I'm sorry I'm yelling, I get excited. But we are at a critical level because this is where we crested out last time. So do we hold up again at this level? This level I'm talking about is that 691.5 to about 692 or thereabouts. So that was where we crested off after that big move down from 695 down to 686. We moved right back up into 692, couldn't break 692. How much? Okay, so I've got only a small amount of shares left. Dang it. We're going to sit here at 96s because what is life without whimsy? And there is the fill. Adair, we pump up into 692. NVIDIA on its way up, baby. We're long 688 and a quarter. We just printed 692s. And we don't have that many shares left, quite frankly. So gonna, slow down here on the beak wetters. Man, I always do this. Right, we wet the beak way too early, and we should be waiting for the move up. And this is something I got to deal with here, but that's neither here nor there. Watching this one, let's see where the next level of resistance, if we hold this 691.5, 692 area. That's a big if. If we hold this area, then we are looking at that 694, 695 area. We had a couple of different tops with which to work. 694 crest up here, and then later on at around 1045, we crested out Adair at that 695. So packing my patience on NVDA, looking for bigger moves up. We'll start being a little more selective right now in where we get out, because we don't have that many shares left. Very profitable name. It's going to be a big boy winner on the day today for NVDA for myself. And I absolutely love that VWAP dip and hold up 1.5%. Please as punch.
Yeah.
Tycoon.
Congrats.
Be I like that. He's throwing that in with his little, with a little bit of a different twist there. I like that a lot. Let's see what else we're talking about here in the chat. Nimit. HKIT moving towards $1 right now. Low volume, no news, but this one just goes crazy. Also, we'll look at that in a second. Nimit. Let me throw it up here on my chart. HKIT, probably not on my watch list because it is sub $1. HKIT, I don't know what I'm doing here. All right, we're going to have to wet our beak here on NVIDIA again, as it's way too high for us not to wet our beak. So we're going to put that profit taker there. We only have 3 more outs, though, on NVDA, so we're going to pack our patience with this one. HKIT, yeah, looks good, Nimit. The float on this bad boy, about almost 5.769 million shares. $13.5 million market cap. There is no news that I see on it, so I do agree with you there. It is up nicely, though, 36, almost 37% right now, knocking on the door of that $1 area, 97 pennies. But like you said, volume absolutely suspect on HKIT. And sorry, I'm not even showing you guys what the hell. Let me show it to you over here. HKIT. This is a Nimit special over here. And when you look at the 1 minute, you know that it's very sparsely traded. You can, if you've been trading for a while, you can just look at the candles without the volume bars and know that it's sparsely traded just based on how the candles look. We'll keep an eye on this one, Nimit. If the volume comes back in on this bad boy and we start pumping here, we'll definitely get more involved with it. Mr. Long Shorts, Pan W, having a day.
It is.
Absolutely. And you know I love these names, these cybersecurity names, Adara. Whether it's Zscaler, whether it's CrowdStrike, whether it's Pan W, Palo Alto Networks, some of these other ones, I like these bad boys. I think this is one of those industries like AI where we're going to have huge upside movement and upside potential. There's no shortage of beef between countries at the moment, and one of the areas where a lot of the belligerency initiates is in the cyber world. So before a shot is ever fired, usually there's hacking and some other stuff like that. Pandub, On the day, though, Adara, 349.40, the low, essentially 350. So it absolutely held 350. This is from 9:30 a.m. onwards. This removes pre-market and aftermarket action. So let's now move to the daily so we can find out where to expect resistance. We are at all-time highs. There, it's a blue sky setup. I have nothing to chart here on PanDub. We're gonna, we'll have to get it on dips, if anything. Right now, if you're looking for a dip on PanDub, you might have to pack your patience because you're gonna have to wait around 360. That's a whole dollar, $10 level. It also happens to be VWAP. I personally would not be getting into PanDub at these highs. I would want some sort of dip into a key level of support before participating in this name. So great look on the day on PanDub. Just way too extended for me to want to get in. There goes NVIDIA again, and here we go into 693 Adara. We're awfully strong, curling by the happy face, Michael Noss says, and we had a nice little happy face there off VWAP. Gonna look to wet my beak again at 693.5.
Yeah, what an army of beak wetters. What a double bottom there for NVIDIA. There's where you got in, which is a fantastic entry, and then we get it again, that 688 area, because it comes right where my head is, it comes again, yeah. So I think that's really cool there, right? So I think, yeah, really clearly an area of support, and congrats to you,
Thank you
for that wonderful entry, and all these wonderful little ducks bobbing their heads in the water on the way to the upside. Fabulous trade. Yeah, I have not, other than that initial meta trade, I wish I had more to report, but trying to learn from every single trade. As Obi says,
yes, ma'am.
Where's the next trade?
Yes, ma'am.
And right now I don't have one, but I'm looking. Meta, again, I will not be shorting this one again because moments. I'm not gonna regret the short. We lost 50 paper pennies on it. That's okay. But I do think too, it's worth noting. I like that we're kind of coming back into this area where we had the top earlier. Like I said, I'm really interested in 469. I will not be shorting it again unless there's much clearer reason to do so. This was really the fact that we had that little wick to the upside, that failure of 469, and I was watching the book. Should have waited a little bit. That's okay though. On to the next one. Shout out to Jay-Z. And this bounce off that 466 area is still really strong. If we come back to 466, I'm going to be interested. For now, though, Amazon. I think it was, that is SMXN. That is not Amazon, Adara. Look at your keyboard. There you go. I think it was Joanna Brewster saying in the chat, Amazon looking kind of wedgish. Yeah, I would say a little compression wedgy. I was trying to get involved in this at that 169.90, and then we shot up like 15 cents in a moment. I was like, I'm going to let her be. I'm going to let Amazon do her thing 21, and then try to get involved when she's breathed a little bit, because she's a little upset right now. Basically, the goal for this would be to go long, probably in the middle of the wedge, then add to the position at the bottom should it hold up, take out at tops, like just range. That's where I feel comfortable is ranging. That's my home. That's my happy place. And if Amazon gives me that opportunity, I'm not going to say no. But I'm going to wait because she has not made up her mind yet on that. Tesla. It looked a little rounded topish, but now with all that strength in the NQ that gave your lovely NVIDIA a nice boost. Tesla trying to get a little bit of a move up here as well. If we don't break this, 187.20 area, I'd be interested in, again, just shorting, taking out at the lower parts of the ranges, definitely keeping an eye for some profit takers at VWAP and seeing what we do from there, because Tesla looks a little coily for me, and we know that Tesla and VWAP were in an eternal battle that lasted the entire midday show yesterday. Sharif had that great long from Tesla, and then Tesla just hung out after that. Tesla was like bobbing at the water like a little duck, but not wetting its beak. So yeah, I think that could be an interesting look here. I wish I had more to kind of, to get involved in, but I still looking, still keeping an eye. If anyone has anything that's moving here, I will definitely take a look at it. IWM, I got out of this. We failed. Exactly. It was, nothing. Again, this was not a super exciting trade. We failed. I got out where I said I was going to get out. There we go. Risk management is not often, glamorous, but it's fun. It can save you a little bit of headache.
Oh, yeah. It's absolutely necessary. I mean, yeah, that's just all I have to say about that. All right, let me, yeah, it is. I mean, I thankfully haven't blown up any accounts, but I know that friends who have blown up accounts. My cousin. I'm not going to mention who he is, but he was okay. This story is good for people out there. I think they probably should hear this. So my cousin, before I ever got into trading, wanted to get into Forex back in 2018 when Forex was like a big craze, like drop shipping. And then he ended up basically subscribing to a guy who sent him signals, all right? And he followed the guy for a while to see, does he have a winning track record or was he just full of it? And according to my cousin, I don't know, he had a decent winning track record. So that day he decided he was gonna put his entire account into this one guy's call out, his signals, and I don't know what he was trading, whether it was GBP or whatever, okay? He ended up absolutely losing all the money he put, not all of it, but he lost like almost $5,000, okay, in one trade. And the first thing that I asked him was, did you not have a stop loss? Well, that was the first thing that I asked him. And I mean, he didn't really know what it was. He knew that you could get out, obviously, but he didn't understand the mechanics of profit taking, stop losses, all that kind of stuff. And that story was tattooed in my mind when I first started trading. Because I've always thought about that, getting absolutely rinsed. Number one, following somebody else's trades, that's a no-go. Number two, not employing risk management strategies or not even being familiar with the risk management strategies, to me, seemed so counterintuitive. And so anytime that I've ever been trading, whether it was my personal account, whether it was here, I've always taken the L when the L had to be taken. And that's really, that's the all I have to say about that.
Yeah, no, I think that's important too, and I think I have two things I want to say in that.
Absolutely,
that I think is really important. And for one, I think it's really important to have these because you can be like upset later that you missed some of the move if like you get out and then say it comes back up. That's okay, but you had your strategy and you had it for a reason. And I think that's also what you were saying with regards to the having your own plan, trading your book. I fully agree because you were saying trade your personality. I think scalping is my personality. When I do that with meta and having clear ranges and ideas, that's when I have the most success. Even IWM, it didn't work out, but I had a plan for it, right? So I think that's also key. One last thing too I want to say here is that sometimes if it doesn't work out, maybe your stop loss was just set a little too early, and that's a huge issue I have with these Mag 7s. Sometimes you got to give yourself a little bit more wiggle room to jump around and do the shimmy wick dance instead of saying this is going to be a hard out, you know what I mean? So I think really, or maybe like piece yourself out, like the whole idea of trailing stops. So I think there's a lot of elements to keep an eye on there that I think are really important. Also, Lily's popping, so I might have to look at her. But how are you doing with NVIDIA?
Good. We almost got our profit taker here at 693.5. But I want to comment on Scott Fisher's comments. Scott Fisher says something here really interesting. In all my years of trading, I've never used a stop loss. I only swing trade though. Day trading, I would probably use it. Let me tell you, Scott, look, I completely respect your method of trading. If it works for you, absolutely fantastic. This stop loss saved me from a rinsing on Plug Power. And I don't know if my trade here on Plug Power is well noted by the viewers, but Sean and Neil and Adara and others know about this trade, and we jokingly call it my best trade ever because it was the one that I could have absolutely been rinsed on, and I only ended up losing $1 a share, and that was a swing trade. Okay, I got in based on some hydrolyzer catalyst that they had last year. It ended up being an absolute nothing burger. If I had let that bad boy run all day while I was trying to trade live on the show, it would have been an absolute disaster for me. So while I respect your opinion, I do think that stop losses have a place in swing trading. I don't know how Michael Noss would feel about that, but I think he'd probably be pro risk management. But yeah, thank you for adding color on that because I think, with all the different trading styles here, we may have many differing opinions. And so, yeah, that's what it is there. All right, Adara, we did do a bit of a pump here on the future. Now, I was concerned about that 16. Bro, get it together. We're 17 now. 17.8 giving up the ghost, but we got wicks into 17.8. We did the wick shimmy dance from the north side, not the south side. And as such, we got that 50-point plus move. In fact, we pumped up about 53 points here off that 800 touch, moving into 17.853 as the high. We'll have to wait and see whether we can break through 17.875, which currently is the high of day right now on the future. So keeping an eye on that because it is very much integral to my trade here on NVDA. But while I tell you about that, let me tell you about this. Meta continues to be strong on the day. It is now up 3 1/3%. That VWAP hold at that 466.5 was absolute money. And this is a better trade, quite frankly, than the NVDA trade. It's up more, and the bounce off VWAP was more pronounced, more aggressive. It wasn't the same amount of dollar move, but because it is a bit of a cheaper stock, it did break through highs here, which we didn't get on NVDA. Keep your eye on that 471 area for resistance on META. But look at this candle here. This candle is the buyers saying to the sellers, take your you-know-what home, right? Because this is an absolute buy-up. The sellers tried to push it below 468, and the buyer said, no, you don't. and moved it up $2. So if this closes like in the shape that it's developing right now on the 5-minute chart, this is an absolutely bullish candle, and likely, you know, we'll have a piercing of that 471 high. We'll have to wait and see. But great pop up there on Meta. An equally decent pop up, I want to say, on Softy. But Softy, you know, kind of based out here randomly at 410 3/4, didn't come back into 410. I've still got my alert set up on Softy for a 410 touch or a VWAP touch, whatever comes first. Looks like Softy, though, is curling to the high side, looking to touch that 412.43 high a day that it put in earlier. Not much else to report except this Apple look over here. Apple obviously weak on the day, or it's the dead one. Let's not call it weak. It's a dead one today. It's down 0.1 a day, so it's absolutely doing nothing at the moment, but it is holding this pivot point like a dang glove. Look at the initial pop up off the pivots here at 10 a.m. and then look at this hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-minute candles popping up off pivots, a random level from which to find support because it's at 188.80. What the hell is 188.80, right? Except pivots. So ranging here between yesterday's close at 189.30 and 188.80 where pivots is. VWAP though on Apple, keep your eye on that if we get going. 189.60 on AAPL. So we'll keep watching some of these bad boys. We'll keep watching some of the other small cap gappers. Nimit was talking about HKIT that is now halted to the downside after flying through $1, touched that 129. Let me show you exactly what I mean here on HKIT. It's a good look, but now halted to the downside, sadly. So we'll have to wait and see whether this one can get its footing under it. What is going on? Oh, that's why. Let's go like this, and there we go. All right, flip to HKIT. There it is. So now we are halted to the downside on this small cap gapper. Started its life out sub $1 today with a low of 71 cents. High of $1.29, Adara.
Yeah, I mean, what? Yeah, the small caps, I feel like the last couple of days they've been very penny stock heavy. It's like Jordan Belfort hopping in the club. No, I'm joking, totally joking there. Shout out to the Wolf of Wall Street. Because that's quite a movie. But yeah, so I think lots of penny stocks lately. I'm in a SPY scalp, which is a first for me. But you know, I spy a little bit of support here around this 497.50 area. Really the goal is to take this out by the top of this wick here, this 497.80, because it's a little bit shy of that earlier high we had. I liked that support at VWAP that I saw when Sharif was looking at the NQs there, and I was like, let's see what the SPY is doing. Yeah, really similar, really clear touch here on the SPY. Sort of a rounded bottom. Added a little bit here when we got to that 497, just shy of 50. So I like the DCA. I probably wouldn't add any more here. I want to probably get some of this out in a couple pennies, that 497.65-ish area, because that was where we had that earlier peak. And I'd like to risk out part of that. And let's go. Let's say au revoir here to some of this. Jay Haas welcoming me to the ES SPY SPX. Thank you very much. The water's fine. Really happy to be hopping in. We'll see how it goes. We do have part of this position out here with an eye for that 497.80 to get the rest out here. I'm going to change my side chart as well to reflect this because I still have the IWM on there, and we are not IW messing with that right now, so we're going to keep that off the chart. What else is popping? Thank you so much, Bears versus Bulls. Let's go, Adara. That's my favorite ticker. I mean, I hope so. Thank you very much. Joanna Brewster saying Meta screaming. Let's see if she is. Let's see if we can hit the like button for that. Oh my gosh. Whew, Meta said double top. I don't know her. Massive move off that's 570. 470, I'm so sorry. 470, not 570. Moving into that 471.50 here. Talk about a double bottom, especially at VWAP. You know, Obi was talking about how certain levels will be magnetic, and I think certainly Meta gravitating towards that VWAP, especially with the double bottom, adding some confluence, adding some strength to that move. I think that's a really nice look. NVIDIA, a bit of a similar look as well, though slightly less confluent with VWAP, and that we bounced slightly above VWAP instead of right at VWAP, but really nice look here. NVIDIA, though, unlike Meta, pretty much surging right past that earlier top. NVIDIA kind of more dancing with the earlier top, that 493 area. Congrats to Sharif, because that is a $5 winner for Sharif. Fantastic look there. But also Tesla being a little bit interesting to me. I said I want to see Tesla break this range and take this to the downside. If we get to that 187, I might start building the position here. I don't want to build as we're kind of on the lower end of the range, because that would be probably where I'd be piecing out. If we get to that 187, if I like that 187 area, I'll probably start the position and then add up into that 187.25. Very scalpy, very rangy, just the way I like it. Try to stir that pot, add to a little bit. But yeah, no, I think just trying to try new things. That's why I got involved in the SPY. Thank you everybody to your support for my first SPY trade. Much appreciated. As we try to mix up the pot a little bit, stir the pop, see what happens here. The Shim King saying snap. That sounds like the Wick Shimmy dance. I like it. Let's look at Snapchat and see what if Evan Spiegel helped that one snap crackle pop when he was talking about. Oh, okay, that was an interesting look. So yeah, a little bit after when we would have maybe been expecting this move. So when he was on CNBC, because he came in CNBC at 11, comes on at 11. Let me see where that happens. Okay, and then we fall a little bit. Nice pop back up to 11.25, much like Apple's 188.80, kind of picking a random level, but that's okay. Snapchat though, I want to actually watch what we do here as we're trying to pop back up at this 11.45, because that was where we had a little bit in top and turn before that epic fall at 11 when Evan Spiegel got on the CNBC mic, or they got on the horn, whatever you want to call it. But I think, yeah, Snapchat, an interesting look, down about 35% today. Some people mentioning snap puts in the chat. Congrats to you if you were a part of that. Sharif saying NVDA. How is that going for you?
Absolute print factory. We were almost $5 in the moolah on this one. We were for a bit, and then obviously rejected 694, and right back down we go, 692 and change. But we did get the profit taker there sitting at 693.5. That's the highest profit taker we've got. We've got two more outs left on this bad boy, and then it's sayonara. We'll have to look for another trade, so we're gonna let this one run. I'll let it come back essentially into my entry, which is 688.25. Pumped about this one. Good trade so far, but let's see if we can get a little bit more on it. Maybe touch even that high day, 694.99. So essentially 695. We got to 694 there and then turned back a little bit. Pack your patience on this one. It's going to take time before it reaches that high day. Abe Lincoln Club. No, man, that's George Washington, man. Come on, James. Isn't that George Washington?
I thought it was, but I do not know the USD.
It is George Washington.
Oh, thank you, Fabian.
Confirms the Chilean nightmare.
$1.
Yeah, the $1 guy. Yeah, exactly. All right, that's how I know him. I just, I took U.S. history in university, so I know a little bit, not that much. What do we got here on Snap? People yelling about Snap. All right, here we go. Did you cover this or should I?
Yeah, I covered it a bit.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
I mean, we're a little bit of recovery at the bottom of 11.25.
All right, so let's get to the lesson then, Adara, because it is. Are we past the hour? Yeah, we are. Okay, perfect. So let's pull up this bad boy over here, and then I also want to add a little bit of color to some of what I'm going to say. So I'm going to load these two just like that. Okay, perfect. So today, guys, we are talking about earnings momentum strategy. All right. So what is this all about? Obviously, we are in the midst of earnings season, and earnings season brings with it a plethora of volatility. That is kind of what it's known for, especially if you look at the movements after the bell and before the bell. There often is that huge algo spike up. You know, it can take you 10 some odd percent at times, no problem. So earnings momentum focuses on stocks that consistently beat earnings estimates, aiming to ride the wave of positive momentum generated by strong financial results. So we are looking for a particular instrument that is beating endless expectations, beating revenue predictions, and consistently reporting better than expected or better quarter-over-the-quarter results or year-over-year on the quarter results, however your metric is structured, and trying to basically make the guesstimation that it's going to continue that trend, and therefore we either punch in before or after earnings. We'll talk more about those strategies. So earnings momentum refers to the tendency of certain stocks to continue their positive price trends after consistently surpassing earnings expectations. Traders using this strategy seek to identify companies with a track record of beating earnings estimates. Why earnings momentum, though? Companies that consistently outperform earnings expectations may experience sustained positive sentiment from investors, and positive earnings surprises often lead to increased analyst recommendations and upward revisions in their price targets, fueling further buying interest. And everything I'm saying today, I just want to make very clear that it works the other way around as well. it can come to the downside in the exact same way that it can move to the upside. So how do you identify some of these earnings momentum stocks? So some of the screening criteria that we can talk about. So you're looking for stocks with a history of consecutive earnings beats over several quarters. And you're going to say to me, well, how do I know what to look for there? Well, basically, let's look at this particular screen here. This is my Fundamentals Explorer on my own platform. And if you click here, the Financials tab, you'll see Apple's revenue currently, December 30th, 2023, their revenue was $119.58 billion. That beats the December 31st, 2022 quarter. So that's what we want to look at. We want to look at December quarter versus December quarter, April quarter versus April quarter, because each quarter has its independent nuances and its independent, circumstances and environment. So what could be high for December may be low for April and vice versa. So make sure you are comparing apples to apples and orange to oranges when you are doing this analysis. So Apple, $119.5 billion revenue in December. Look at last year, $108 billion. So continued to trend up. And you're also looking to analyze the company's revenue growth, not just and profit margins. You're not just looking at revenue, you're looking at many different things. So the cost of revenue, the gross profit, the operating income. Obviously, this gets a little bit more complicated, so you're going to have to get yourself better versed in fundamental analysis. Okay, and also consider qualitative factors such as new product launches, market expansion, the expansion of the total addressable market, for example, or other catalysts that could contribute to future positive surprises. Let me give you an example. Caterpillar just reported, and they did very, very well. Why? Well, their China sales were down, their Latin America sales were down, and their MENA, Middle Eastern, North Africa sales were down as well. Well, why did it do so good? Because they expanded their TAM, their total addressable market. How? Because instead of building out homes and factories, now they're building out data centers for the expansion of AI. So guess what? An industrial production company is benefiting from this AI wave. They're having to actually augment their product lineup to help build out these data center, what are they called? Buildings, or whatever you want to call them, right? So all of a sudden, when they were looking at just homes or quarries or mines or whatever, building out industrial output, they're actually now looking at just building an entire new area of the market, which is data centers. So they were able to expand their total addressable market. And also use analyst estimates. So analyst estimates, very important here. Utilizing financial news platforms or brokerage tools to access analyst estimates and consensus forecasts for upcoming earnings. So by way of example, here's my analyst forecast for AAPL. You can kind of see what they're predicting for Q2 and Q3. They are predicting higher year-over-year quarterly increases, and they're actually predicting an earnings surprise for Q2. Not really sure why. You'll have to dig deeper and find out why, but that is what the analysts right now are forecasting. Good to know what they're thinking. And compare these estimates with the company's historical performance to gauge the likelihood of another positive surprise. So when how many times has Apple beaten estimates to the upside? Or how many times has it missed estimates to the downside? So look at the history of the company there to see whether or not you can gauge about its future production. Any questions or comments, Adair?
Yeah, I mean, I think too, I appreciate what you said about Caterpillar. And I think one thing as well is like certain metrics are going to matter more for certain companies, as we were saying, like with Caterpillar, of course, industrial stuff is going to be important. But also, if we're talking about Spotify earnings, those numbers were pretty miss-ish, but also, and by that I mean we missed, but also the ARPU was really good. We had the monthly active user increase. So I think like I guess the whole concept of keeping an eye on different metrics for different companies, like what I was saying with Apple and those China sales really sinking the stock the next day, taking a bite out of those. I think the same is kind of with looking at for different stocks. That's why looking at what analysts are looking for and what specific area is the stock in, and so what's going to be important. So I think, same with like, you're talking about Caterpillar, that's the stock you follow. Yep. I'm not involved in Lilly other than in questionable day trades, but I do follow the stock a lot because I like day trading it. Sure. And so, like with that one, other factors are going to matter. Like how are you doing with sales? Efficacy of the weight loss drug. So I think knowing what analysts are going to be looking for in the stock and what is going to positively or negatively impact its market cap can also, or I guess its performance can also be really impactful when you're looking at it from an analyst perspective, because those might be the things you're looking for there. Yeah.
Thank you. And last but not least, how to, can you bring back that one? Actually, no, we're right. Execution and risk management. So executing the trade. Once a potential earnings momentum stock is ID'd, traders may consider going long before the earnings release, anticipating a positive price movement. I got to tell you, this isn't my cup of tea. This is anticipating, not participating. I wouldn't suggest that you go long before the earnings print. However, if you do, make sure you are employing sound risk management strategies with obviously a stop loss, or you got to be watching this live, right? So that you can punch out live. So make sure you are employing sound risk management strategies. Alternatively, some traders may wait for the earnings release itself, assessing the initial market reaction before entering a position. That is more down my alley right there. I want to see how the market's going to digest this, as well as how the earnings call is going to go hit it, Katina Man. The Katina Man's just back from the meeting, and he came and he found that he's $1.70 in the money on RBLX. So keep your eye on RBLX, and if you're following the Katina Man's trade, hit it. 4 $4 winners.
Alibaba,
Baba, Google, Palantir, and we mentioned Roblox. So big boy trades there. Now he's letting you know he's gonna get water. Shout out to Hydration Nation. Who's that person you always shout out for Hydration Nation? Shaq or something like that? Shakib. Yeah, so Shakib, if you're in the chat, Katina Man says, shout out to Hydration Nation, baby. All right, and the risk management, the last topic here in executing and risk management. While earnings momentum can lead to significant gains, it is essential to manage risk. Make sure you are setting up stop loss orders to limit your potential losses in case the market reacts unexpectedly, and you should make sure you are aware of the order types that will trigger in the pre-market and in the aftermarket. Make sure you are not using market orders in pre-market and aftermarket. They will not trigger, and it will blow through your stop. You have to be using stop limit orders for your stop losses or your profit takers during the pre-market and during the aftermarket. Make sure you understand how these orders work, and if your brokerage allows certain orders to trigger in the pre-market, in the aftermarket, because that's often when earnings take place. There's no earnings that take place during regular market hours between 9:30 to 4, okay? And obviously, last but not least, but goes without saying, make sure you are positioning accordingly based upon your risk management assessment. If how many shares I would get in to a stock with very volatile history, and I can look at the history by going and looking at how it acted the last time it reported earnings. Did it have an algo spike down, then pop right back up? Was there a bamboozlement? And if it did pop right back up, what was the spread like? Now you're gonna say, well, I can't see the level 2 from 3 months ago. No, but you can flip to the 5-second chart. You can flip to the 10-second chart. You can flip to an even smaller time frame and see what every candle was doing. And that the space between the candles will indicate to you what the spread was likely at that time. So there are inferences you can draw by going to a smaller time frame during those earnings releases there. So make sure sizing, very critical here on earnings. Go ahead, Adair.
So I was going to say, I like that. I appreciate that you said that, because I know today, right after earnings came up for Roblox, we were like, and I was like, I think, everyone else was reacting normally. And then Neil was like, oh, Roblox has like a dollar spread, I said, I was like, oh, is that not normal for Roblox? I mean, of course it's not normal for Roblox, right? Like it's not an Eli Lilly or a Mag 7 or a small cap, right? But I think that's interesting too to note, and I appreciate that you said that, because that was something I learned today as well. The spread can get very wild. It can get very, for lack of a better term, spready when you do have some of these big events like earnings. So that's a good thing to keep in mind as well. Make sure you don't get lost in the sauce. Shout out to Obi, who says that quite a lot with regards to those earnings spreads. So I appreciate that. That's a good point.
Beauty. Thank you for mentioning that, Adara. Bang on there. All right, guys. We're still holding this NVDA trade. We're going to see if we can break through high day. But while we wait for that to happen, we have the real deal with Neil. Is that slow enough, Ramram? No, I didn't do good enough. I tried. Come on, Ramram, you're killing me. All right, we'll wait. It's all good. 693 on NVDA right now. We're right back up off that 691 dip. We're almost there. She's just getting ready to send it over to Neil. We're up almost 1 2/3 right now, Adara, on NVDA. So we'll continue to watch that. Mr. Meme says womp womp, but I think we have Neil ready now, guys. We'll send it over to the Real Deal with Neil. Just stay still.
Welcome to The Real Deal. We're going to talk about something that everybody does, whether it's catching a falling knife, standing in front of a moving freight train, or just buying the dip. And we always talk about, oh, I like this as a dip buy, bull market, the stocks only go up, buy the dip, get yourself a better price. But remember, when you're buying the dip, stock's going down. Pressure is against you. It is not going in your favor. You are not with the short-term trend. So you've got to have yourself a set of rules so that you don't always get run over. Truth of the matter is, there is no such thing as buying the dip without occasionally getting run over. It's going to happen. But what can you do to limit the amount that you lose when you are wrong? And how can you still be in those dip buy trades when they eventually rip? Because, hey, if the market's usually going to the upside, you want to be able to take advantage of. Okay, so first off, I mean, what is buying the dip? I think it's pretty obvious. It simply means that you are looking to engage in an upward trend, but by buying a reduction in price. Now, the most extreme example and what I'm going to focus on today is at 9:30 at the open, where you often get the most bamboozlement, where you get the biggest flushes. So I'm going to use one example of what it looks like that we're all hoping for, and then we can get into what it looks like when it's dirty. So have a quick look at Rivian here. Now, I'm not showing you today on purpose. So yesterday, the day before this, you have an obvious dip at the open. It kind of hammers the $15 even level, which had been good for Rivian, makes a wick bottom. Look at all the strength. Okay, so the first thing I always lock into when you get a hammer bottom like that is, where are the key levels? 1475, 1485, and then the higher low at $15.10. So what is it going to look like for me, fast forward to the next day, if a similar thing happens? Well, I'm going to want to buy the dip at 1510. If I'm going to want to buy the dip if there's a level holding at 1485 and 1475. So what this looks like when everything is perfect is it dips at the open, goes to the level, and bounces right off your level. Great, fine. But here's what you need to do if it's not going to happen for you. If I'm long and I like this level, but I also think it can be good at 1485, and I also think it can be good at 1475, you got to pick one of two lanes. Lane one, which is my preference, if I'm in here and it can't hold that local bottom, get out. If I like it down there, allow it to get to that price, try again. If it breaks, get out. If I like that bottom, jump in that other time and take 3 separate trades and get out. And the value of doing it this way is, if the range is still going to remain somewhat similar, if you end up getting out there, take your hit, get in a better price, because you were getting closer to the bigger support level and giving yourself a wider range the farther it goes down, you can then say, okay, well, if I like it for X here, I like it for 1.5X there, I like it for 2X there or 3X there. Because you're getting maybe tighter stops, you're getting a better price with a bigger move, but you're taking the small hit so that you can jump in again at a bigger price. That's path number one. You can always go that route if you want to. I prefer it. The other way to look at that would be, do I simply want to get in a little bit here and then average into the bottom? If you choose that dollar cost average method, you've got more math to do in front of you. Because I can say, if I want to risk 10% of my daily risk limit here, I can get in, have 5 cents worth of risk, pick that number, and then it's really easy to do. If you're going to hold and average in 3 times, you've got to determine how much do I want on that break of the bottom, and then work backwards from there. Okay, well, if I want X amount of shares on the break and I only want to lose $1,000, whatever it might be, you then have to carefully calculate, how much can I buy there, how much can I buy there, how much can I buy in front of that bottom to get myself the right average price. It's a little bit trickier to do in advance. But if you know I'm willing to get in and out, willing to get in and out, willing to get in and out, that's a safer way to go about it. So what does it look like in the wild when it doesn't necessarily always work out for you. So I'm going to go over to Snapchat. That was another buy the dip type of plan. And if you want to approach things in the I'm going to get in, get out type of mode, what works here is if you have yourself an out, and that's going to be the key. If you have yourself an out, it's going to work out for you, especially when things are moving so fast that having a dollar cost average plan in place, like I was talking about, is going to be tricky, but jumping in and out is going to afford you better opportunities when something is doing outlandish volume. So ignore, this is not really a buy the dip, like it broke out a local high. Let's start thinking about what happens here at the open. You're looking at the pre-market bottom, long into the pre-market bottom, it never breaks it. So you get some long 85s, get some long at 12 for an average of like 90s. That you can have to your plan. You're risking 20 cents to the bottom. The second it goes 20, 25, 30 in the money, you're taking profit. When it pulls back in, I can reload knowing exactly where my entry, roughly within a cent or two, is going to be off that low. And then plan that action on the way back up. Now, one thing to consider here, and I'm going to give you on the fly one adjustment. As it's making lower highs, this is up to you, I want to be risking less. So if this was making the exact same range, and if I think you take the same amount here, I might take a similar amount there because I have a tight risk stop, and I'd take a similar amount there. When it's making lower highs, then I want to risk less going into it. This is the advantage of getting in and out on the same dip buy off the same level where you don't necessarily have to worry about averaging in. It breaks a low, I get out, it wicks the bottom, I try to get back in, and I get right out. Find another level, get in, get out, get in, get out, get in, get out. Limit the loss. Take the hit when it breaks the bottom. That way, you're not maximum in all the way down, averaging when it takes out that low. You always want to try to have a comfortable trade if you can and not be panicking on the way down and adjusting on the fly. So it's really important that you pick that path. Because if you do decide that you want to, I like 3 buy levels and I want dollar cost average in, that requires some planning, which for experienced traders, probably not that big of a deal. But for a novice trader, it's going to be a little bit easier to just take multiple cracks at it if you have to, and always have that tight stop. And when it breaks it, just get out and reestablish a little bit lower if that's what you have to do. It doesn't really make a difference where you do it. I was buying the dip on Ford today. I'll give you another example of this. Ford, oh, why did you like 1245? I can't figure out why. So you go to the higher time frame. I like the dip buy at 1245. It was breaking out on earnings. On the daily chart, you've got 1245 right here is the most local resistance level that I think can turn into support. You've got another one right here at the 200 period moving average at 1220. So I like 2 levels on Ford, 1245, 1220. There's a couple of ways you can trade around that. Now you can get in and average into it, or what I elected to do, which was get in when it breaks the local bottom, my 45s are out. And when it gets to the 1220 level, I just make a separate trade off that 1220 level. And now you can sort of see it actually holds a 1220 level better, which is fine. But you've got to pick which lane you're going to be in. You cannot be going back and forth. Either you are the type of trader that is going to take multiple shots at buying the dip with a stop out, or you're going to be the trader that carefully is able to dollar cost average in to your stop level and then be able to get the hold all the way back. Now, if you're going to do part 1, you're going to be a little bit more risk averse. You're going to limit your losses a little bit better, but you are going to miss some moves. Because if you get out, it doesn't get to your next level, you might miss the bottom again. But that's the cost of doing it that way. You're going to have less big losses, but you are going to miss out on some of those best dips if you choose this approach of take your shot, get out, take your shot, it works. But hey, if it wicks that bottom, I'm out. Maybe I don't get back in. If you do the dollar cost averaging side of it, you're going to catch pretty much almost every single move unless it breaks that bottom level. But it's going to be incumbent on you to be able to hold it, not just on that first bounce. You got to be able to hold it further because you've been buying all of the way down. That requires a plan of action as to how many shares you want in total, what your average price should be, and then ensuring you hold a sufficient enough portion of that trade when buying the dip. It's much more complicated to do it that way. But it can yield great results because you're not going to miss very many bottoms. It's all about picking your lane. We always say you cannot control what the market is going to do, but you can control your preparation. When you're buying the dip or getting in front of that falling knife, you've got to determine what type of a trader you're going to be. Are you going to be a little bit more risk averse, take those paper cuts and take your outs and try again and try again? Or are you going to be someone that's going to buy all the way down into your level, have a plan for it, and then be able to hold a bit bigger? Once you know who you are, who you want to be, then it's easier to structure your trades. Because if you're going back and forth, reality is you're not picking a lane and you're going to be all over the place, and it leads to losses that way. Because you're going against the grain when you're buying the dip in that moment, and if you don't have a plan of action, you're going to get burned. That's the real deal. Everyone wants to buy the dip, but you've got to understand how you are going to do it successfully, because there's more than one way, everybody.
Neil, informative and amazing as always. I was about to say informative and insightful as always, but didn't come out the right way. Dara, you want to chat about your trade a little bit?
Yeah, I'd like to. Yeah, thank you so much for giving me that opportunity, Dad. We just got part of this out, actually. So basically, what I'm talking about this is, someone was mentioning in the chat, like, why would you short Tesla when it's strong on the day? And I understand that. And I know the way I trade is a little bit different. So yeah, I'd like to talk about this trade a little bit. So it's not always successful, but I like range trading. And to me, Tesla is in a beautiful range. This thing has just been in and out. And I've talked about this a little bit. We are compressing, so I'm trying to be cognizant of that when planning my outs. But basically what I'm doing is I'm getting this was just kind of trying to get my foot in the door, this 186.75. But then I added at the 187, which is an area I liked. If we get above that 187.20 area, I'm going to have to say goodbye, because that would be a decided break of the range. We haven't yet, though. So I'm just kind of entering every time we get to the top of the range, getting some out when we get to the bottom, just piecing it out, reloading. Shout out to Sean with the reloads, and then just trying to kind of get in and out of this basically here, staying in and then adding and going down as we go. So basically, if this range breaks, that's when I'm going to get a little bit scared and going to have to leave the trade. But don't have too much of a position left in this, just because I've been piecing in and out as I go. This is my main trade I have. I'm kind of nursing it, being, petting the Cybertruck, being very kind to the Cybertruck, because Tesla will do what she wants to do. So I want to be very cognizant of this trade. That's the main thing I'm kind of nursing right now. But I'm definitely seeing if anything else is moving. Shout out to Joanna Brewster talking earlier about this Amazon. This Amazon's also getting rangy as well. I might have to pull an OB and get involved in this. No, I'm joking. Shout out to OB and Amazon. But I think, yeah, this 169.70 to 170, it's about like a 30-cent range. I'm okay with that. I'm very much okay with that. I might have to get involved in this as Tesla tests the top end of her range. She Tesla the top end of her range, so that's also going to be on watch here. Also, I never even discussed this trade earlier, but I should. For transparency's sake, I was briefly had a dalliance with Mademoiselle Lily. I got involved here because we were holding it in the tape at the time, and if you could see here as well, this was an area that we curled back up on. So I was basically just going to take this like a couple dollars, take it to that 730. We did not get there. We broke below VWAP decisively. I was watching for that break, and then I got out here. So not much to report. Again, just risk management. As I said, not the most glamorous, not the most entertaining of things, but always really important. And so we're going to cry. We can cry over a couple spilt paper shares here, but definitely just trying to learn and be like, hey, maybe next time Adara, it looks a little falling knife-ish in retrospect, wait for VWAP. So there we go, learning lessons from every trade. And Tesla always teaching us lessons that didn't, we tried. How is NVIDIA going?
Yeah, it's pulling back a little bit, but Glenn Smith saying, yeah, Tesla has been a really good range trade the last couple of hours, and I could not agree more. We've been getting much more of these range trades lately on some of these Mag 7 names. All right, couple of things to mention. First and foremost, Rumble is being talked about. Rumble almost went green on the day right now as it knocked, sorry, let me bring in the side chart over here, as it curled right back up near that 770-ish area, looked to go green. So people yelling in the chat about a red to green move. Yeah, not bad. It's not an outsized day for Rumble. Yesterday was definitely a better day, but we'll keep an eye on that. BTC as well started to move. Bitcoin getting off the schneid there off 43,000. When we started the show around 11:30 or so, it was around 43,000. Yeah, and then we pumped up through that 43.5. So we did about a $500 move here on BTC, and that helped propel some of these BTC associated names to the high side as well. So we'll keep an eye on BTC. And the other one I want to talk about before I talk about NVIDIA, the Fuge came back down, the MNQ coming back down into 17.8. Let's watch what we get now at the 100-point level. We're doing the dance right now with 17.8. How does this resolve? Do we get a breakdown or do we hold this level? Looking at the previous price action, lower high, lower high, lower high, and lower lows as well. So possibly turning here is the market. It's up 0.8% on the day right now. Do we turn back off this level? We'll have to wait and see. The high of the day right now, 17.875 on the NQ. Right now, doing the dance with no pants at 17.8. And then the trade extraordinaire that we've had on the day was NVIDIA. But look at this now. We're only $1.50 in the money as this bad boy coming back in off that 694 pop. Now we're breaking down below 690 Adara into that 689 and a half. We're long 688 and a quarter. We have 3 more outs on this bad boy, hence why I've allowed it to come back all the way in. My stop is at my break-even level, which right now is a little bit below VWAP, thankfully, which is kind of cool. So that, you know, if it does bounce off VWAP, maybe I don't get stopped out. We'll have to wait and see what NVIDIA does. People were asking in the chat, are we going to see 700 today on NVIDIA? Well, maybe. Maybe we get that move in power hour, but I don't know if we get it without a catalyst during the midday. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, excellent trade today. Please as punch on NVDA, but let's see how it does the rest of the afternoon. The other stock that I'm watching right now is AAPL, and you may be wondering, what the hell? Why are you looking at Apple? It's dead money today. It's the dead one. Well, because it's kind of doing what Amazon is doing. It's doing what Tesla is doing. It is range trading between the pivot here, and that is the dotted green line on my chart. That's pivot point, and yesterday's close, which is 189.30. I was going to say 31. We've been kind of having this 50-plus point 50-cent range on Apple for a little bit of time, since essentially 11:15 or so. So almost going on an hour now, or better part of an hour and 15 minutes that we've been range trading on Apple. In addition to the range trade on AMZN, in addition to the range trade on TSLA, it's been rangy on some of these names and breakout on some of the others. Now, look, Meta, we were talking about the strength of Meta today, and for good reason. It was up the most of the Mag 7 names. But look what Meta is doing. We topped out through that break of 471. We couldn't break 471 earlier. We broke it this time around, but right back down into VWAP we go. Let's see what happens at 467 and a third 467 area. The reason I say that is because both descents into VWAP earlier did hold up on Meta. Do we get a third hold up here at VWAP? If we do we want to ride this bad boy maybe into a $3 winner or so, into that 470, maybe 471 if we really get going here on META. So decisions to be made here on Meta, as it is presenting us with another opportunity maybe here to get in at VWAP. We're going to have to analyze that bad boy closely. I don't want to be jumping in too quick here and get back some of the money. So if I do get in on Meta, it's going to be for, you know, typically a little bit smaller shares than I usually am getting in. But yeah, I do like this trade right now, possibly here on Meta. Big Kyle Burdett shorted ES on that last pop, looking for much more. Shout out to you, Kyle. Let's have a look at what our friend the ES is doing right now. We're doing the dance with 5,000. That's what we're doing. So we're a little bit above 5,000, 5,005. This is 5,000 over here. VWAP on the ES. And this is VWAP starting from 9:30, not from the pre-market, is at 5:03. We've been above VWAP essentially since around 10 o'clock. We broke above that VWAP area on the ES. Shout out to you, Kyle. I hope you print. I don't know where you're short, whether you took that 510, 512, or whatever. Obviously, keep your eye on that 5,000 level and what we do there. Do we find support or what on the ES? But it is, it's been a decent day. Decent day here for the Fuge. Yeah, I was going to mention something here about the NQ, but I'd rather focus on Meta. So look, what we're going to do now is we're going to put up a trading screen here for META if we don't already have one, because we're pulling in, Adara, to that level that I like.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that level on VWAP, on Meta, 467 and a quarter, 467 and a third. Right now, we're just a smidge above 468. This is the double bottom off VWAP that I was talking about earlier. I'm going to take this for a much smaller size, and I'm going to put it at that 467 and a third. So I'm going to send it to you while I put out the order, but interesting decisions here on Meta. Now, let me just say one quick thing before I send it back to you. If this meta trade goes south and it doesn't hold up VWAP, the end of the trade is going to be that 466 and a half, a little bit below 466 and a half, 466 and a quarter, let's say, because we want to wait and see, do we hold up these this double bottom level over here, or do we give up the ghost to make a new low? That's kind of what I'll be looking for. So if I get in on meta, the line in the sand will be the break of this low over here. If it doesn't hold up there, it's no friend of mine.
Yeah, we'll have to see if how meta goes up. I think that's a really nice look. I was mentioning earlier, I like that 466 area kind of as well, but we're gonna kind of more wait and see here. Like I said, I think I definitely behave my best, or I'm on my best behavior when I am rangy, and that meta trade is definitely more of kind of a breakout style, so I'm gonna wait and see what happens there. Got involved in the SPY because I like that VWAP bounce. We're coiling slightly below VWAP here. I'm really watching for what we do at that 496.80. I'm gonna give it about 20 pennies, and also again, like, it was there where VWAP was now, now it's just kind of slightly below VWAP. Watching, but we're really being able to hold this 497 quite nicely, so please just punch right now. If we hold 497 well enough, I might add a little bit here as well. You know, like I said, I'm really working on planned DCAs, planned reloads within reason, and then just kind of try to add to the position. In terms of my outs, depending on how much I end up having, because right now we would really just get it all out at once. I like that 497.30 area. I also like that pop of that 497.50, because that was also where we held earlier and where I got in on that initial SPY long. But yeah, this is my first kind of day play in the SPY, and I have to say I'm really enjoying this. This has been a fun time. You know, fun new thing for me to trade. Also, Tesla. I did exit the Cybertruck. I was pushed out. No, I'm joking. It was fine. I said I wanted to get out above that 187.20. We dipped above that with a viciousness, actually. So I had to say goodbye. But it looks like that range short's still coming. I might hop back in the Cybertruck, depending on what we do here, because this range has been more or less indestructible. This is probably another case of, you know, we were talking about with risk management, setting your stops in areas that make sense. Maybe it would have made sense for me to set my stop a little bit higher here, like closer to that 187.30. Alas, it happened. You know, don't cry because it's over. Cry because it happened. No, I'm joking. Just you know, learn and reflect. You're involved in meta.
Yeah, getting
Nice.
in much smaller size than I typically do, because I'm unconvinced about this trade. I feel like maybe trying to catch a falling knife here. I will be wetting my beak on any pop-ups into 468. But while I tell you about that, let me tell you about this. The 10-year note auction, one of the most followed treasury note yields. We're getting an auction for that bad boy at 1 o'clock. So very important here. It's been market moving in the past. Will it be this time around? We'll have to wait and see. The 10-year is one of my closely followed treasury yields that I keep my eye on. I keep my eye on the 2, the 30, the 10, and the 20 as well. Currently, we're 4.1 on the 10-year on the future. So we'll have to wait and see what the result of the auction is. We had Fed Barkin dropping hot lines at 12:30. I didn't see what he was saying, so I'll go in my news blotter right now, look for a summary. Fed Bowman speaks at 2 o'clock as well, so make sure you're ready for 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock Fed speak and the auction. And then we get consumer credit at 3 o'clock. That's not that followed of a data point, 1 out of 3 bulls on that bad boy. So yeah, important note here, 10-year note auction, 1 o'clock, Fed member Bowman speaks at 2 o'clock. Make sure that you are ready and you're aware of what they are saying. Let's see what Barkin was barking about. Let's see, that's Brendo's line. B-A-R-K-I-N, let's see what anything comes up. Nothing on my news blotter is coming up here for Fed Barkin so far. Did I spell that right?
B-A-R-K-I-N.
B-A-R-K-I-N. Yeah, I did. Nothing's coming up. That's weird. B-A-R. One sec. Let me try this again. Yeah. Usually there is like little comments that are coming up. B-A-R-K-I-N.
I'll check.
Nothing. Yeah, I'm not getting anything on that. So that's fine. We'll wait and see. All right, NVIDIA's pumping right back up into 692. Please this punch. Only have 3 outs left on this bad boy. So if we move up into that 694 area, we'll looking to de-risk a little bit. But the trade that I am most concerned about right now is META. It is holding up a little bit here at VWAP, but if it gives up the ghost, I'm gonna cut this quicker than whatever. gets cut quickly. If it breaks down below 466.5 a dare, that's going to be the end of the trade. We'll lose $1 a share there on smaller size. So keeping an eye on Meta, keeping an eye on NVIDIA, and the Future as well, because we did dip below 17.8 on the Future, and here we go again, getting bought up. That quick dip below 17.8 took us all the way down at 2. I'll tell you in a second there what the low is on this candle. It is 17.779, and then we got bought up aggressively. Let's see if we hold up and break above this 17.810. That is a bit of a resistance level there. Doing the dance right now with 17.8 Adara.
Yeah, I mean, what a time here. Hopefully the shimmy wick dance resolves to the upside, because that would be fabulous.
That'd be great.
There, we'd all be pleased as punch. Also, we just got to, for what I just realized, there was a super chat from earlier we didn't see. I'm so sorry
my
here.
bad.
Mike Crahan, my bad as well. And it's been a busy morning. But thank you so much. $2 super chat, always have an out. I think this is when we were talking about risk. Yeah, I fully agree. Thank you so much for your support. And I apologize we didn't get to it earlier. We do appreciate it and fully agree with your comment. 1000%. Mac Jones. Every time someone has a Jones last name, I want to do Mike Jones. But thank you so much to Mac Jones for the super chat. Can you guys bring someone from Rumble on a live? Question mark, exclamation point. I am not really sure how that gets
Like,
sorted
because they're
out.
Canadian and they're down
I
the
guess,
road?
yeah,
I see.
but yeah, I mean, I could. Je ne sais pas.
What we can look into that, but
Yeah.
what would be the objective? Like, what are you looking to get? You want to know more about the company, or what's the issue here? Tag Dara and I in the chat. More than willing to hear what you have to say. Obviously, that goes without saying, as we always do. We always embrace all the ideas around here, however cockamamie they may be.
Cockamamie,
We're not saying this
word.
is cockamamie,
Yeah.
obviously, just saying in general, we're always.
Oh, so you wanted to say cockamamie, I think, a little bit, which I really appreciate, because we love words of the day here. I mean, Sharif and I will say words. Oh, there we go. Yeah, good times. And yeah, thank you so much to Mac Jones for that super chat there. Also, thank you for saying pamp it, because the spy liked that, and so did I. I still spy the spider. My spider sense is tingling. No, I'll stop. But yeah, I did add a little bit. We held VWAP, then we went up with the viciousness. Again, I book watch. I got some of this out at that 497.25 scalpulating. This is an area we keep coming back to. If we come back to that 497.40, just shy of that, I'm gonna get out definitively here, because I am cognizant of the fact that we had a lower low here, and I did like this area of chop and turn earlier. So very much gonna be keeping my eyes peeled. I spy that level, I'll put it that way. Also, oh my God, NVIDIA does not wanna quit. Why have I not been looking at this range on NVIDIA? Congrats to you, like $5 winner on that one. Very much entering that club. But yeah, I like NVIDIA just hanging out around that 493.70 area. And what's nice too is it's sort of making higher lows as well. Goes to just shy of 690, comes right back up. NVIDIA could be coiling towards a 7 break. And
NVIDIA?
I mean, yeah, I think like maybe not like tomorrow or maybe not today.
Yes,
but I like
Dara, that's
that
what
we
I want
have.
to hear.
Right? Well, I mean, you know, you say pamp it, and I'm gonna like talk nicely about her, make her feel good, build up her self-esteem. I like this 693 top with the slightly higher lows, especially with that double bottom just above VWAP.
Yes, ma'am.
I do think it's a nice look. Aside from the fact that you were in it, but also congrats for you being involved in this NVIDIA today, because that is a win NVIDIA for the longs. And if this wasn't crazy strong, I would be tempted to scalp it out of this range. But A, the higher lows scare me, and B, she's NVIDIA. So we're gonna let her be. Also, Tesla's still ranging. You know what Tesla was doing yesterday below VWAP? Now it's doing it slightly above VWAP. So I'm gonna let her be for now. I'm gonna let her do her thing 21. However, if a more solid range presents itself, or if I have an inkling that we might be going lower, I'm probably gonna get involved in that. Right now though, I'm just trying to manage the SPY, because she's a lot to manage here. Let's actually look at RUM, because I know Rumble was just mentioned. Let's look at that. Oh, Mac Jones is saying a lot of people talking about it since they're down the road. I figured I'd ask. Brendan talked about their tech a few weeks ago too, which piqued my interest. Yeah, thank you for saying that, and I agree. Yeah, Brendan mentioning on the big desk some of the cool innovations they are doing, so totally valid here.
And how could we not, pump a Canadian company? Obviously, and it's an alternative. I mean, if you're out there and, you have issues with some of the mainstream stuff with censorship and stuff like that, we're not going to really get into the nitty-gritty of that. But this is one of those alternative platforms that you could keep your eye on. And they have a bit of a different take on what what censorship should be like. So that's all we'll say about that. Adara, I did print a little bit here on this Meta long. We took some out at 75. I've got my other beak wetter here, if I can show the chart, guys, at 468. But this one is a bit in, look, I don't want to say this is in trouble, but it's having trouble with VWAP right now because we are a little loosey-goosey with this 17.8 level on the future. So if we give up the ghost there, there's a good chance that Meta heads to the downside. And right now we're making our way down into VWAP again at that 467.25-ish area, just a little bit above below a quarter, pardon me, is a VWAP. But I'm going to pack my patience. I've got my profit taker all ready to go. So should we cross that 468 level, I will be out of half the position, already out of a quarter of the position. Right back up we go into 467.75, looking for that cross of 468. The market now above 17.8 again. NVIDIA, I've got nothing to do here on NVIDIA other than just wait for that 694 cross. So I'm not taking any more out of NVDA until we get that 694 cross. We'll have to wait and see whether that comes to play or not. Now, someone was asking me about Palantir. I forget who it was in the chat. We did get a nice little pop up here on PLNTR, and I said to them, look, this was a clear hold at 23. Look at this double bottom here. This is the 5-minute look on Palantir. We held up 23 nice if you were going to get long here. I personally would have my stop below 23, or that 23.10. VWAP's at 23. The double bottom is at 23.10. So maybe give yourself a little bit of room below this double bottom at 23.10, maybe into that 22.98, 22.99 or thereabouts for a nice move up, possibly into break of high of day at 23.75. We'll have to wait and see whether that materializes or not. Let's have a look at what META is doing. No, still haven't crossed that 468, so we're gonna have to pack our patience. Chill vibes. Have a feeling NVIDIA gonna alert smack 695. I would not be opposed to that at all. Chill vibes, trust me. Because we're holding this bad boy. We only have 3 more outs, but that is the case there. I was talking to an individual by the name of Michael Wu. He's like, what do you think of Apple at this level? And I asked Mike, what do you think? Is it a swing trade or a day trade for Apple at this level? So just tag me, let me know what you were asking there. It was Chat GPT. Not chat. Chat GPT that was asking me about Palantir. Shout out to you. Mac Jones says, yes, a lot of people talking about it, and since they are down the road, figured out, oh, you already read that. You already read that one, right?
I did,
yeah. So shout out to you. I didn't realize that was already read out. Nicole Harris to find out if we should invest, because I was asking her what the point of having a Rumble individual here is. Think they might be bozos? Okay, I seriously was thinking, okay, all right. Well, look into it. Definitely, Nicole, shout out to Hot Lena. Michael Wu saying day trade. Look, I don't necessarily want to get long Apple on a day trade today. I love Apple. I told you I'll be buying this in the personal account on any dips, no question about it. But look at this, descending wedge. The high, 191.05. So that's the peak there. That's the IB high. Then look what we did here at 1025. Another lower high at 190.40. And then this is the high over here at 189.28 or 189.25. So it's lower high, lower high, lower high, all the while holding at this 188.80, 189-ish area, which is where pivots are. So this looks like, we're putting in lower highs and a flat bottom. That is typically a descending wedge, and, sometimes manifests into a flat bottom break. Sometimes it doesn't. But I wouldn't be inclined to try to guess where Apple is going to start curling back up. It's not a name that's strong on the day. There are other Mag 7 names that I would suggest you dabble in. Apple is a bit of dead money today, unless you're looking at range trade, because Adara has been killing it on Tesla range trading, and you could do that. You could do that with Apple as well here, as it is giving you that kind of sideways price action. Not really my cup of tea to do that, but if that floats your boat, all the power to you. Tesla is the best range trade right now, and if it breaks out, well, I have a feeling this one will get parabolic, as Tesla typically does, right? So we're keeping an eye on all these names here, and keeping an eye on this meta trade, and there we go, Adara, we get the fill at the top now. We're at a 50% of the position. I can relax a little bit, as it did cross that 468, and right back down it goes into 467 and 2/3 Adara. Not surprised there. Probably pushing my luck a little bit to try to take Meta on VWAP here for the third time. Maybe third time ain't a dang charm, but we're printing on it, so please as punch.
Yeah, congrats to you.
Thank you.
As you should be. Pleased as punch with that punch out. I like the
Whoa,
dance.
look at that. Oh, I was like,
Oh.
had like a double head there. It was pretty cool.
I thought, oh, there he is. Hi, Sharifs. Sharifs plural.
Yeah,
there are two of them.
we're having too much
But yeah,
fun
congrats to you on that. Yeah, I agree with you with this Apple range. I have to say, I kind of like this. The only thing is because we had that flat bottom, now we're seeing slightly lower low. I want to see at least one more kind of peak and trough to get a sense of how much wiggle room I have. You know what I mean? Like how, where would my in be? Where would my out be? Especially because I find I trade Apple a lot less than I trade, your Metas, your Teslas, your Nvidias. So I'm a little less familiar with how she moves. So I'm going to be cognizant of that. I would say Tesla breaking out of its range a little bit. I'm going to get to that in 2 seconds. This Amazon range is still looking tasty to me. But I think I would take it from the long side. So I just need to keep an eye out. I don't know. I need to find a way to get an alert on this so I can get in for that 69.70. I think because we're up in the day, I think this dude could be curling a little bit higher. But that flat bottom and the lower highs also make me nervous. We're going to be cognizant either way. We're going to be aware. We're going to be cautious. We're also in and out of VWAP. Like VWAP is right in the middle of this range, which I think is maybe a bit significant as well. Also, it got out of the SPY, so we'll celebrate that. I did get out of the SPY where I said I would around that shy of that 497.40 area. SPY keeps climbing. If we see another lower high here, we might short. We're going to see what happens, though. I like this VWAP hold. I got it in there, confluence, as Obi says. We had a bit of this this hold here on VWAP is of interest to me. Pretty happy with how this trade went. Just really, like I said, trying to get practice, trading different kinds of things. So this, being an ETF is a bit different. And it's also not a Meg 7 name or an Eli Lilly. So new things. Also, that reminds me too. So people were mentioning Netflix and Roku earlier. So let's look at those. So I used to trade Netflix like semi-regularly and haven't looked at it in a good while. Netflix is above $1 million right now, so that's something. Ooh, hello Netflix. Hello Netflix's range. Oh my gosh, I'm like putting my hair back behind my ear here. I'm like getting coy with this. I like this. Oh wow, this 564 to 567 area.
There,
I was
man?
also wondering. But this is kind of rangy. We're up
Stuff
on
is like
the day.
screaming or something.
Right?
Jeez, that's a hell of a laugh she's got over
Oh,
there.
I might need to get involved. This is a really nice look. But yeah, I think Netflix is a nice look. Netflix since earnings has been a monster. Let's look at the daily on this. Yeah, I mean, talk about a flag on the daily.
Oh.
We had a bit of a double top here at that 493 once, twice. We have earnings, swoop, gap up, keep flying. Peter out a little bit, but nice little base here at that 555, right where a 9 EMA is right now, coincidentally. I think this is a really nice look on Netflix. Time for some Roku. Get my Roku. How is the trade going?
Well, Nvidia's popping off awfully close to 694, so we put in the profit taker there. Whether it crosses 694, an entirely different story. The one that's giving me stress right now, you guessed it, is Meta. It's still hugging VWAP. It's not breaking above that 468 level with any vigor. It did cross it, superficially, and then, came right back down. I've got a next profit taker here on Meta for smaller size, and I've gotten out so far at 468.25, looking for that quarter level to break and for 468 to hold. Ideally, that's what we want here. As my friend Neil likes to say, get that thing curling back up. Prove to me that you are done coming down and start printing new candles to make new highs with higher lows. That's what I'm looking for here on Meta. So far, we haven't made any lower lows below that VWAP area where I got in initially, but that doesn't mean we won't. And so I'm watching this very closely. I've got my stop already in place, but Meta sometimes can be notoriously illiquid at certain levels. And you saw yesterday, we took a 5-banger on Meta within 15 or 20 seconds. So Meta can absolutely move parabolically, whether to the high side or the south side. So you need to make sure that your stops are sound and they're going to trigger. And one of the ways to do that is either to use a market order, which is a little dangerous, or to use a wider spread between your trigger price and your limit price. And that's the method I choose to employ most of the time, having a wider spread between my trigger and my limit and just using a limit order rather than using an outright market order. but you can do as you wish, and every platform is a little bit different. You know, what works on one may not work on the other, so make sure to be in tune with how your platform is designed, or what it does best. So keep, focus on that. Looking here on NVDA, looking for this 694 move, packing my patience. We'll see what we get. Auction time, somebody says yes. 1 minute, guys. We get the 10-year auction, very closely followed amongst market participants. It is what the 30-year mortgage is based off. They look at the 10-year. It is kind of that intermediate dated treasury, not the short term, not long term. It's not longer dated. So it's followed quite closely. It's at 4.11 right now. So depending upon what kind of print we get in a few minutes, we have a comparator, which is 4.11, which is the futures contract. I follow the yield future contract, not the index. I look at the futures contract. So that's where we're at right now. We'll have to wait and see what we get. But yeah, we should be getting that imminently, Adair.
Yeah, no, I think that's really exciting. And then, you know, we get the auction, more lessons, exciting times all around.
Yes.
I did get involved in this Netflix range. We just got our toe dipped in here. Not a huge position. I'm getting out if we have a decisive break below that 564.30-ish area, because that to me is a pretty clear bottom. But I like this area kind of on the curl up, as Neil says, get it on the back end, and that was what I attempted to do here with Netflix. So let's see if this stays on my watch list, and if we can just Netflix and chill in this trade, or if we have to say goodbye. In terms of an out, very much as we get into that 567, I'm getting out, because I don't want to stay beyond 567. To me, this is a clear range. This is a clear top, and I don't want to mess with that. And that's all I have to say on that with regards to this point of entry. But we're just chilling around where I entered right now. Meh, it's okay. Oh my God, I could still not get over this NVIDIA, this hold of this is higher. This could like break to the upside, I think. I think NVIDIA could flat top break potentially. I was seeing CDP saying, some fund manager said yesterday NVIDIA is hitting 900 before earnings, and then 2 eyeball emojis.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, it could. And I mean, I think this look on the daily, congrats to you for getting this literally as it took off, because there's another dip. I might dip my toe into this. Whew.
Pump it.
It's a nice, I might be a little bit of a follower here and get into this trade, because this is some mighty fine trade. And I think too, now that we have this top, I'd be more comfortable just piecing out as I go. Also Tesla, I did forget to mention her earlier, and how dare I. This range, we broke out at the top of that range.
Go.
Money.
We just got a 10-year auction, Katina Man. The market is pumping up, Katina Man. To your desk, there goes Meta to the high side, baby. We're gonna wet our beak here on some profits. NVIDIA pumping, Meta pumping. We're getting a nice move up on the future. Netflix is pumping. Shout out to you, Adara. Nice move up here on the future. Be careful, we could turn right back down. I've seen this before on the auction. So take profits while you're able to, guys, in these positions. We just wet our beak here on Meta break of 468.80, and right back down it comes to 468.20. So be careful here, anything can happen. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, congrats to you on that. I was just going to say Tesla breaking out of that range, and Tesla was like, oh, you thought I broke out of it already? Watch me break even further. Tesla hitting 188. Congrats to you if you're involved in this long. Happy I got out of the short where I did. Let me tell you that for free. Yeah, Netflix had a pop, and then Netflix is like, actually, I'm a little bit tired now. Going to go hibernate a bit. That's cool, girl. You're still up. I'm okay with that. Hopefully it continues. To do what it just did there. That might have just been more an overall NQ move. Zion Law saying the stop loss on Netflix to be better at 563. I see your point there, because that was where, we had a little bit of movement earlier, and because Netflix can move a little bit differently, I'm going to be cognizant of that. But I mean, I'm a little bit scalpier, so I think with my risk management and my risk appetite, which is not the highest, we'll have to wait and see, but I do appreciate the take on that, and I think that's a valid point.
Okay,
for sure.
I just have to report the auction.
Please do.
So the auction came in at 4.093. That was below where it was. We talked about that 4.11. Now the yield's coming back down below 4.1. I'm talking about the 10-year. It's come down to 4.099. It's still up 1/3% on the day. We'll have to see what direction this market takes us in, but we just got to pop up. As you can see here on the trade on Meta, we got that 468.69. Nice. Fill on that level, and right back down, dropped $1, Adara. And the second that it took it to come up, we got that big drop. Same thing with NVDA. We got that pop up into 693.70s, but we didn't cross into 694. So a bit of a bamboozler or maybe a nothing burger. I have no idea. We're out of the majority of the position here on META. I'm pleased as punch about this because I am worried about this trade. I don't know how much longer it holds on to VWAP. I'm trying not to paper hand this trade, but it's not, manifesting in the way that I'd like to see it go. And right back now, we're first time we're out of the money right now on META as it breaks down into 467.25. Looks like this market could be giving up the ghost here at 17.8. We're right back down to 17.8 on the future, and Meta coming back into 467. This crosses 467 to the downside. On the ask, I'm out. That's the end of the trade on Meta as it breaks down below VWAP. We'll take an L there on about 20% of the position. That's all good. Still positive there. Keeping an eye on NVDA. NVDA coming into 691 as well. Looks like this market may be giving up the ghost on 17.8. We'll have to wait and see here. But right now, we're doing that dance at that critical level. We haven't given it up decisively. We haven't claimed it decisively. So we'll have to see exactly what we get. And I hate to keep repeating that, but the auction has been a bit of a bamboozler lately where you spike up and then spike right back down. Unsure what to make of this whole thing. But I do believe we are after one. I don't know if you want to start the lecture.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm cool with that. Also, yeah, so still in Netflix, we felt we recovered really nicely. Just an update there. Also, I have to shout out DVDRD43 for saying what we're all thinking. That was a fun 7 seconds. I saw that comment.
So
I
true.
laughed at that comment.
So
I appreciated
true.
that comment. I thought you would. I think everyone in the chat would as well. So shout out to you, DVD, a great chat participant always, but that one comment in particular just stood out to me and made me laugh. So there you go. I love shouting out the comments here as always. But now we're going to shout out the lesson, which is, and I'm going to just pull up this tool that I use. Sharif was using his tool in his platform earlier, but I think one that I find cool is on the NASDAQ. You can, or like the NASDAQ website, what you can do here, and I've got it all pulled up, is you can look at different previous earnings for certain companies, and then their surprise amount, yearly forecast, quarterly forecast. So that's what we're going to use to reference for the information that we're talking about with regards to earnings momentum. So basically, this lesson is going to be on this strategy, which is a way that you can approach earnings, capitalizing on historical performance during earnings season. And we're going to talk about some of those metrics in a momento. Basically focuses on, you're looking for stocks that consistently beat earnings, or I guess if you're going to be more bearish, you could look for stocks that consistently missed earnings, because you want to ride the wave of that positive or negative, again, if you're bullish or bearish, reaction or momentum that's generated by these results. So what is earnings momentum? It basically refers to the tendency that certain stocks have to continue positive price trends or negative price trends, again, if you're talking misses, if you consistently beat or miss earnings. So, and here you can look at some of the different metrics, right? We can see, in general, what's the surprise amount been overall. For the previous quarter for Disney, we had a 82-cent earnings per share, consensus of 67. That was a 22% surprise. Disney's a little bit all over the place, harder to read. We had a 43% surprise in the December 2022 quarter. So that would be a year over year from the earnings we're getting tonight, right? So I think really interesting how you can look at these different elements. You can also see what I think is cool with regards to analyst sentiment and how that will play into earnings momentum ahead of earnings, which I think is important. You can look at the change in consensus. So fiscal year ending September 2024, 1 month ago, we see a little bit of a change, not much for a week ago. A month ago, a week ago, and current, we're seeing about the same amount of change for the fiscal year ending in 2024 consensus. So I think that's kind of noteworthy. It's an interesting metric here to look at as well. And so basically, with earnings momentum, especially if you're going to be more bullish here, you're looking for the track record to see that you can identify companies that are, have a general tendency to beat or general tendency to miss if you're going to be a bit more bearish, and then you can get involved in those movements. So why is earnings momentum important? Because, if you have a company that is consistently outperforming earnings,
Bless you.
Or expectations, sorry, bless you, then it might have more positive investment it might have more positive sentiment from investors. And so then you might want to get involved in that movement, right? If everybody, if you have a move and then everyone's buying into it, you want to join that hype. Palantir was a hotly anticipated earnings because that company and Alex Karp, have so much, goodwill in that space, and in the AI space, all their government contracts. And so everyone was excited for those earnings. They beat, everybody rushed into that stock with the viciousness. Shout out to Sean and his Palantir hat there. But I think, that's just one example here of an earnings that if you have positive anticipation and then you have that beat, you're set. But that's why you need to know what's being expected ahead of time. So you can be prepared when you have these big outsized moves, because hey, that's kind of what people were thinking we might have. So basically, too, the idea that a positive earnings surprise can often lead to increased analyst recommendations and upward revisions in the stock, in the price targets, which can fuel further buying, fuel further buying interest. Sorry, I'm tripping over my words over here. I think one thing, too, that's interesting with regards to this is you can see, too, we talk about day two earnings plays, but sometimes those are buoyed by positive analyst sentiment, right? So you'll have a move, and then the next day someone will give a couple price target increases for the stock. It'll just keep running. There was one from today. I brought it up in the big desk. I forget what it was. Coherent, COHR. This one made a new lifetime high today, but they reported earnings after close on Monday. So this is a day two play, but they had a whole bunch of analysts raising their price target, and that came today. So the day after the earnings reaction in the market. And so that gave this stock another nice little boost, right? So don't just look at what we do on the day. Look at what these analyst price targets are coming forward, so that then we can see, hey, there might be more momentum in the stock. If you're talking maybe even like a swing after earnings, that would be my take on that. Also, what do you look for when you're looking for an earnings momentum stock? So you want to look at stocks with a history of consecutive earnings beats over several quarters. Oh, again, if you're bearish, maybe you want the opposite, right? It really depends. You want to analyze the company's revenue growth, profit margins, key financial metrics to ensure sustained health. Or again, sustained financial weakness, if you're going to short this. Gonna say, Paul. And I think, too, like I was saying earlier, and like Sharif was saying earlier, what area you look at is going to really depend on what the stock is. So with something like CAT, you were saying Caterpillar, its industrial strength is going to be really important. What it's doing in industrials, that's an industrial name. With a name like Spotify, numbers were a bit meh, but the market liked it because they had good ARPU.
Right.
They had good MAU. They had increases in both their subscribers over the quarter. So by that I mean premium and ad based. So I think it's really about looking at these different kind of elements and saying, hey, which of these is going to maybe be the most important to analysts and investors based on what this company does. So I think that's something worth noting here as well. Also, it's important, to kind of go back to what I was saying here, considering qualitative factors. Are there any new product launches? Cough, cough, Vision Pro much? Or the Cybertruck for Tesla heading into the fated earnings call of October 18th, 2023, with the Cybertruck hanging in the balance there. Consider market expansion or any other catalyst that could contribute to future earnings surprises. Also good to look at analyst estimates going into the earnings. So looking at different platforms or brokerage tools, looking at analyst comments, not even just the ratings sometimes. I think sometimes the comments are really important. Going into AMD earnings, they actually did lower the, they literally lowered, I forget what analyst it was, but someone lowered a price target and the rating, and they said it's a heck if I know rating, because they just wanted to downgrade it ahead of time just in case the earnings didn't work out. They literally they said heck if I know.
That is
I don't remember what
hilarious.
analyst it was, but that was the one heading into AMD earnings, just one I wanted to note there. I apologize for not remembering the name of the analyst there, but the heck if I know rating I thought was really funny. So that's what I mean. It's good to know what analysts are thinking and why they're thinking it. So if you saw that downgrade, you might be like, oh, AMD, but the notes on that downgrade actually weren't that bad. The heck if I know is just they were like, we don't really know where it's going to go ahead of earnings. So I think that's pretty valid and something to keep an eye on here. And you're right, at least they're honest. And then you might want to compare the current analyst estimates in terms of the price target, or if there's any earnings estimate that they've changed going into earnings with the company's historical performance to look at the likelihood of another positive or negative surprise. So how do you actually execute and risk manage these trades? That's going to be of huge importance, especially in something as volatile as earnings. And I mean, we've seen that, Neil and Sean going at it right at open, and some of these stocks can move in wildly unexpected ways. So how do you prepare for that? Once you have the potential earnings momentum stock identified, some traders might want to consider going long before the release or short if you're considering it to go badly, if it's a Snapchat situation. But some traders might want to wait for the release, assess the initial market reaction, and then enter the position. And that can be key for companies like Alibaba, which initially was gapping up on earnings really strong off that $20 billion share buyback announcement. But then when people actually, or $25 billion, but then when people actually analyzed the numbers, they were like, meh, and the stock petered out a little bit, right? So I think sometimes the initial reaction will not always be accurate to what's happening in general. So I think that's pretty important as well. It really depends, again, on your risk appetite, on your trading style. As Neil so astutely pointed out in his very real deal, as always there. But basically, to risk management, once you're in the trade, what are you going to do in it? I was saying earlier, risk management, not the most glamorous, but always very important. And especially with earnings, when things are flipping, flopping, and, tennis, like back and forth. I don't know. Weird analogy.
Tennis.
Yeah, just
Love tennis.
it's a cool sport. But basically, earnings momentum can lead to gains. It can also really lead to loss. And so you want to set stop loss orders to limit your potential losses in case the market acts against you or flip-flops around here. And also consider your sizing into the position, like maybe add a little bit to start. Then if it goes well, you might want to reload, as Sean, talking about the I'm reloaded animation and stuff like that, right? You really want to you want to be able to pace yourself into the trade if you're not 100% sure, especially if it's going to be something as volatile as earnings. And so I think that's the general take here in earnings. Also, with this, we have this Disney one up here on the NASDAQ website. Consensus EPS forecast coming up, 97 cents the consensus EPS, so good to you. I see Sharif pumping his fist. What is happening in Meta?
Money, money, money.
All right, so we got right back into Meta after this bamboozling trade. So initially, guys, we got long Meta, 467, 50-ish, all right? We wet our beak. We took profits through the algo spike on the auction release. It tanked, so you got to stick to your guns. I got out. Then it popped right back up, irritating me to no end. So instead of just sitting there and being irritated, punched back in, a wet beak through 469. Looking now for continuation through the $10 level at 470. Holding a quarter of the position here on Meta, already de-risked a little bit. Looking for that move into the $10 level. We'll see if we get it. Simultaneously, we did get the fill at 694 on NVDA. So that would put us in almost $6 winner territory there as we popped up into 694. I've got one more out, dang, on NVDA. So we're going to look maybe for a 695 pop before ending the trade on NVDA as we don't have that many shares left. So looking for that 695 area on NVDA, but now up 1 2/3%. NVIDIA has been kind of putting in the 694 resistance level for whatever reason, going back to, even earlier than this, because look how quickly we retraced back at 1045 at that 694 level. So 694 has been a top here on NVDA, but look, sequentially higher lows, right? 686 low, then 688 low, then 689 low, then 691 low. So progressively higher low, higher low, higher low, flat top, 694. Let's see if we get continuation on NVDA. I want to pack my patience on this bad boy because, well, we could see, 696, 697, maybe even 700 if we're lucky. So we'll have to wait and see. Back to META as this one continues to pop above 469. Going to be looking to wet my beak at the $quarter level, Adair.
Yeah, I mean, congrats to you on these trades, those NQ trades working indeed. Some of those momentum ones there, just off of levels. I got involved in an end phase. I'm not too end phased right now, but I'm keeping an eye on it. I'm watching what we do with this earlier area of that 119.50, 60-ish area. Someone was mentioning this, Tampanda was saying in the chat, end phase is going, and I was looking at this as well because this was an earnings one. This is really just going to be a range for me. I'm taking this into that 121 area. I got involved because it looks like a bit of a dip. We had some support, and we're like, we are curling back up, so I'm pretty comfortable staying on this right now. I wish I had more to report with Netflix. I did stay in Netflix because we dipped slightly into that 564, but we held it really well watching the book, and I was like, comfortable with staying in this, trying to take some profit out of that 566 and then saving a piece for the dream. Heading into that 567, I'm not holding it beyond 567. But what is life without whimsy? As
yes,
Sharif and Sheldon Cooper say.
Yeah.
You told me you got that from.
I did. I stole it. I'm not going to pretend like I didn't steal that line because probably someone's going to know and they're going to out me. So I'm going to just be honest from the beginning. Yes, that is one of the things that Sheldon often says on the Big Bang Theory, not Young Sheldon. He doesn't actually say that ever in Young Sheldon. I've watched now all 6 seasons, and I think the 7th season, Adara, is going to start like in a week or two on Young Sheldon. So please, this punch about that.
That's exciting.
Because I feel like emotionally invested in the show. I need to know what happens.
I heard it's like really sweet. Like I heard it's like very cute and like it's like a good feel-good show.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. He showed look, he's completely like an emotionless robot. But what I like about that, the young Sheldon, is they bring another child prodigy, and it's a female, and she doesn't have like these emotionless things. That she
Really?
actually has a complete understanding of what's going on around her with respect
cool.
to people's feelings and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a good and he doesn't like her obviously because she's challenging.
Yeah,
him,
she's
right?
she's too nice, she's too talky. I'm
Right,
sure.
yeah, of
that's-
course.
Oh, that's
Her
cool.
name is Paige, so anybody following along with the show there. All right, guys, we did get that print on META through the break of 469.25, so a buck in the money on there, but we come back into 469, so now we're about 75 pennies in the money. The next beak wetter, or the profit taker, for those who don't like the expression, sorry, 469.25. This comes into 468. That's going to be the end of the trade. We're going to lose 21 pennies on the remaining 15% that we have here on META. But the one that I'm really focused on the most is this continuation, hopefully here on NVIDIA through 694. I can't believe how many times we've topped up at 694 on NVIDIA on the day. It hasn't really broken with any vigor. Here we go again, and there we go through 694. Here comes 694 in a third. Could we see halves, baby? NVIDIA finally breaking through that top. But do we break it on a closing basis, or are we just going to wake up and then come back down? NVIDIA is absolutely pumping. Here we go. Let's sit down. Let's sit at 99s. We're going to sit here at 94s. Let's see if we get the print. Do we get the print? Do we get the print? Not yet, not yet, not yet. Let's see. And there's the print. We're going to spend the money on NVIDIA. And that is the end of the NVIDIA trade on the day. Pleased as dang punch about this trade. Big move up from 688.25 into 695. Let's now focus on Meta, because that should be the paranoia now since we're all out of the NVIDIA trade. Let's see if we can hold 469.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like sometimes, like when you're in a trade and then you put all your energy in that trade and then it's done, it's like, oh, now I have to think about this other trade. You know what I mean? It really, you kind of got focused. And I feel like it's hard too when there's one trade you're in going really well, and then that one's done, and you're like, oh, got to deal with the prodigal son over here now, right? So I do understand what you mean. I have two prodigal sons. No, I'm joking. I have two that are kind of working, but neither of them have fallen out of favor with me yet, so we're happy here. This end phase, we keep bouncing at that 193.60. Every time I'm like, or 119, 193, what? 119, 60, 70-ish area. So I'm staying in this one for now. The bounce is strong. I do not know how strong, but we shall see what we shall see. Might have been a little bit presumptuous here in my point of entry. I'm worried this could be a double top, but I am cognizant of levels, so that's fine. Netflix it's being boring. It's taking its sweet time. I have nothing to report there on Netflix, so I will leave it be. But yeah, this end phase is where I'd like her to make up her mind so I could decide if I even need to be in this anymore. Also, Tesla. That Cybertruck driving to the upside here. It broke out of its range. We broke out of the earlier top of that just shy of 188. Where are we headed next? I think a 190 break could be interesting, but first we have to do 189. But that 190, also where we had that little bit of a, talk about a frowny face top. This is an epic. This is like, in the picture books here. We head there, right it open, the descent begins, and then we fall down with a swiftness.
Remember what I told you would happen on Tesla once it broke that top?
Yeah, you called.
Look at it.
Oh
is
my
intense,
God. That's why I got out the second I saw us testing that. I was like, this is not rangy anymore. You have to say goodbye, Adara. You cannot tempt fate. And so I did
you
leave.
wet your beak umpteen amount of times there, and then the trade was valid until it's not. And that's the whole point.
Yeah, the beak was nice and soaked. Like this was, we made sure that, sorry for people who don't like that phrase, but it was, it was a good time. We had some nice little profit takers there. Yeah, we ended up positive on this name, so no complaints there. Also peeped this very tiny accidental fat finger long, but we made 10 cents off of that, so no one's complaining over here. How is Meta still being
We're
profitable?
still all right, but south of 469 right now, Darren, we're looking for that 469 reclaim and hold. We're not getting it. We got a perfunctory break through 469 to about 469.40. We're doing the dance right now with the whole dollar level, whether or not we claim it or reject it, a different story, keeping my eye on this one. I hear everybody's been yelling about Holo, and I don't blame you guys. I mean, what a monster Holo has been on the day. Let's flip. Yeah, here it is. HOLO. Goodness gracious, this thing is up 580%. 147 million shares done on the day, guys. We don't even have the details on this one. I forgot to load my trade ideas to find out what the short float is. Now, number one, Holo is south of 100 or south of 1 million shares. It's 950,000 share float. Let's bring in trade ideas, find out if there is a short float on HOLO that we need to be aware of. HOLO, there we go. Okay, so it's not negligible. It's about 8 1/3% of the float is shorted. So, you know, about, give or take, about 85,000, 70,000, or 75,000 shares, give or take, which is essentially the percentage of the float that's short. Where you get in here is beyond me. I need a retracement into a key level. I'm not going to be just punching in randomly here on these higher highs and higher lows. You know, you get it on the wrong dip trade, and that's sayonara. You get rinsed on that. So, yeah, I don't know how to work my way into this trade. I mean, it's just far too extended. It hasn't given me like a consolidation area where I can get long. Like, I mean, look here. And okay, so this big pop up and that pop up. So here, what time was that? That was 10:40. So 10:40 we popped up, and then at about 11 we started, topping out. Came back down into this 750, 7 1/3 level, right? And you popped up through, rejected 10. You came back right into that 7.5 level again. That is possibly where you could have gotten long, because then you could have your stop right below the low of this level over here. And there it goes, man. 611%. Here comes $11 on Holo. This thing is unreal. Again, I don't have a trade on this. You're not going to catch me punching in at highs. But for everybody who's printing on this, I couldn't be happier for you. I just can't work my way into this at these levels. And here comes 11 again. Are we going to break 11? Do we have size here on 11? We're at 98. There's decent size, and there goes 11. Did we get a print above 11? No, we didn't. So we had 11 on the ask, but not on the, we didn't cross on the bid, and we're definitely having trouble with the level now. We wicked through 11. 11.03 technically the high, but we couldn't hold it. So HOLO, absolutely pumping to the high side like it's been all day, 625%, and we're still going, guys. Where could this one end up? Your guess is as good as mine, but we are having issues right now with $11. You're never going to catch me shorting this either.
Oh, my God.
And I don't agree with shorting low float stocks. I know some people do, and they do it real well, and they make money on it. I personally don't like it because you can get absolutely rinsed with the short float. So keeping my eye on Holo. If it comes back into a key level like 10 maybe bases out there, we could work our way into this one, but not going to punch in at highs. Let's go back to Meta, see what Meta is up to. It's now reclaimed 469 again from the high side, waiting for that 469.5 break though, Adair. That's where the next profit taker is.
I have to say, I like too that you have the profit taker set where you had that previous support becoming resistance, and like I'm sorry, I really like that look. I know that's definitely why you did it. But I just wanted to add that out there.
I like how you caught that though.
Yeah, no, and I love, and I know you taught me kind of how to do that. So much, thank you so much as always. I really appreciate that, and I think something that I think is really important and really key here as well. Also, end phase. I don't want to say pumping, but it's trying to pump, and that's something. We've held this level like a glove. I didn't add to it because I'd like to see a little bit more confirmation first, but I'm still in the trade. Michelle Hebert, $2 super chat. Thank you very much, sir. Canadian dollars too. So, Canada for you.
Michelle Hebert is one of the OGs in the chat, baby.
Oh yeah, I mean I've heard the name. I know the name before. I've definitely seen it. Carvana up. SI over 40%. Earnings February 22nd. Squeeze. Let's see. Oh, it said, I always forget it's an NY, and then I press NQ, and I'm like, Dara, what are you doing, girl? NY. Why not? No, I'm joking. Carvana yesterday was pumping alongside GME, alongside AI, all these like heavily shorted names. And I'm just saying on the daily, I'll look at the weekly in a bit. On the daily, Carvana, really nice look on this VWAP. We bounced off it earlier in the pre-market, though it wasn't VWAP then. We get to this 48.99 double top, swoop to the downside, right off the open, come to this 46.40 area, and then we come to VWAP. Bounce, 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 making a higher high here. Kind of similar to Tesla, except a much less like spring coiled range, but a nice look here on Carvana. I couldn't find a way to describe that.
I like
the range
that,
is less
though.
tight.
All right.
Thank you, I appreciate that. We always love, made up or funky words over here on how to trade.
Always welcome on the show.
Much appreciated. Makes it feel like a nice welcome place. Carvana. Okay, got excited looking at that chart. I love chart reading, I have to say. Yeah, this 41 bottom and this 48.60 top. Definitely, I would say a range for Carvana on the daily chart in the longer term here. So this is starting mid-January. I think we have to break out of that range. I think that would be of interest to me. Squeeze, I'm not sure. I don't want to diagnose the squeeze prematurely. However, it looks like we've had a couple days of upside here on Carvana. I think we have a short float of about 13% I was seeing yesterday on that, so I think that's of note. And the highs are also a little bit harder for me to read because we generally have higher lows, but we have high, slightly lower high, more almost a double top there at that 56. Then a slightly higher high just below 60. So I would say, yeah, I think breaking out of that range would be key, but I think it definitely looks like we have some upside strength. I think making a high above that 48 would be a significance for sure, Michelle Hebert, especially because look where we had that 48 earlier, that was a little bit of support and we bounced up higher. So I think that 48 would be a key area that we have to burst above with some viciousness for me for Carvana. But I don't disagree with your squeeze diagnosis, especially when it was running alongside noted squeeze enthusiast GME yesterday.
Adair, a couple of things to mention here. Tesla is absolutely pumping. We could see 190 very soon. We've been uninterrupted here on the 5-minute chart with multiple green candles in a row. No red candles on mine. 189.45 high a day. We're at 189.30 right now. Here we go on Tesla again. And then, who else? I can't say this person's name. PF Botha 54 yelling affirm, affirm, affirm. They could not be more right. Affirm just got off the schneid there at 43.41 and is, let me just make sure that I'm correct on affirm because I think my chart doesn't update. Yeah, we're pumping on affirm, guys, up 3% now. We broke through so we're almost at 45 bucks, 44.81 on affirm. Keep your eye on that, awfully strong right now. The other things to talk about. Fed Barkin. We were looking for some of Barkin's comments earlier. Here they are. They're finally coming in on the stream. So Fed Barkin says, still a tighter labor market. Challenge on inflation coming down is that it's not that broad. Services and rent inflation have stayed more elevated. Couldn't agree there more. We have to see if still more inflationary pressures to come. It's really been rent. It's been shelter that's been keeping things down for a little while now. He goes on to say, Fed's Barkin says firms still feel like they have a little bit more pricing power than they usually do. That obviously implies more inflation. The other says very supportive of being patient to get to where we need to get on inflation. Yeah, okay, bro. And then the other one here is Fed's Barkin says, I'm still waiting to see if disinflation becomes more broad-based. I didn't expect the strength of last jobs report. Nobody did, really. The NFP, came in way higher than expectations. I'm in no particular hurry on policy rate, he goes on to say. And last but not least, says we need to get all the way back down to 2%. Yeah, thank you for that very informative little tidbit there. We already know that. Shout out to Fed Barkin, who was barking about an hour ago. We will have, I believe, Michelle Bowman coming on at 2 o'clock, so more Fed speak in about 28 minutes. Michelle Bowman comes on the mic, Fed speaker there. Make sure to keep your eye on the markets as things could really get going here. Let's have a look at META. Oh, geez, come on, man. Meta popped into 469.40, but we couldn't continue through the $0.50. So we're getting a bit of a top here at 469.5. Can't break through that level, so we're still waiting for that next profit taker to trigger on META, but we're having a lot of trouble. Softies pumping, Amazon is pumping, Tesla is pumping, even Google is pumping, everything but Meta. Come on, bro. We still haven't broken through that 465 on NVDA. So for the moment on NVIDIA, we still have top wick, but we are putting in sequentially higher lows. So it looks like that 695, I said 465, 695 level on NVIDIA looks like it's going to break and break soon. We'll have to wait and see. The future also pumping as well, going into 17.8 2/3, coming back into the half 50-point level now on the future. So that is the look. Nothing more to talk about. Let's have a look at Holo. Holo is still approaching that $11 level. So this might be an interesting area here to get on Holo. I want to get in like Mickey Mouse shares so that we could just participate with this name, right? I don't know how I feel about this. That's probably not my kind of trade. Willis Addison, $2 super chat. Thank you very much, my friend. Palantir Swing, $23 calls. Also, Roku, $2 swing. Shout out to you. Okay, let's have a look at PLTR. We were looking at this bad boy earlier. Here it is. Let's zoom out on the Palantir. So that was a hell of a VWAP dip trade at that 23.10. That's the last time we updated you about that. We said get in here and put your stop right below that VWAP, which is the white line on my chart below 23 bucks. What's up, Katina, man?
Oh,
How's the afternoon going?
Really good.
thank you.
How was the meeting?
I'm really close to you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Meeting was good. We talked about social media. That was fun. I posted something up right now to Walks and Talk, I called it.
Okay.
Oh,
Walk
is that
and
on
talk.
your Twitter or your Instagram?
Yeah, both.
Trader
on
TV
both,
Sean.
eh?
But why I'm doing this, first of all, I got a haircut. I don't have much hair.
Hey.
Fade. Fades and shades.
Looking clean,
You know,
my
when I was
boy.
run- yeah, thank
Fades
you.
and shades.
No, but Neil and I are actively testing Bitcoin as we
Oh,
speak.
fantastic.
So
Okay.
I wanted to come with the good news for everybody that we are testing crypto. And Neil's order is now pending.
Oh.
So we're waiting for a fill.
He's a dip trade?
Neil tried to buy like 14 Bitcoin, so we got to figure this out.
Take it easy there, Neil. 14 Bitcoin is a lot of money.
I told him go for 20. But
Is
yeah.
Brenkel's assisting him?
Yeah, so Brankos and myself are going through the processes of getting buying power
Fantastic.
and various things like that. So I just
Amazing.
wanted to give a quick update to everybody.
Any idea which coins we have, Katina, man?
Yes, but for right now, we'll only be releasing Bitcoin.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so it should be Bitcoin, then followed by that Ethereum, and then the plan is I've seen the works. It's for the top 10.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Great.
So we may or may not be trading some Cardano.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
All right. So I just want to come on there and interrupt. So I apologize for that.
Appreciate
but I
it.
thought it was pretty
Thank you.
exciting news.
Yeah,
It
that
is,
Crypto,
yeah.
we've been talking about crypto, 0 days to expiry, a lot of
The
stuff
thing
coming.
is that we can execute like on 4 or 5 different exchanges. So I'm hoping there's going to be some arbitrage.
Oh, okay.
Those algos going. I'm gonna go speak to that group as we speak. So
Sounds good.
all right, peace out.
Appreciate it,
Thank you
Katina,
very
man.
much,
Thank you
Sean, for
coming in.
that update. I'm sure everyone else is excited there too, as well.
Oh, yeah.
Fades and shades. Good times as always there with Sean. Walks and talks. Lots of rhymes happening actually in that little interlude. So it is much appreciated, and give him a follow. Trader TV Sean, Instagram, Twitter. Oh, here are the shades of which he speaks. There you go. He's like, yeah, no, you're gonna get the whole picture too, which we do appreciate here. No false advertising here. No,
Nope.
sorry, Bob. But yeah, no, I think that was a really cool cameo there, and
Okay, so I got excited. I had to hit all the buttons there, baby, because right now we did get the fill. They did get the fill. We are live crypto, baby. And you can hear everybody yelling. I don't control this. But yes, it is a lively trading floor today, baby. We have new financial instruments. I didn't want to call it a security because I didn't want all the crypto heads coming at me, but we are now live with crypto, and there is all this yelling. Yeah. I'm sorry for all the yelling, guys, but yeah, this is what it's like being on a trading floor right now. Cryptomania
Yeah,
says
like
Tiny
over-
Pie. Couldn't agree more.
okay, we're gonna, yeah, just pop some. That was a little loud for me.
It was a little loud. yeah.
You know, hearing it got a little excited, but we're all good to go now. Enphase is pumping though off. I'm gonna pretend that's off the crypto news because that'll make me feel nice. But this is a nice move up here. Congrats to everybody there in the crypto. That's a really exciting move. I wish I had more exciting things to talk about with my trades. I had a little bit of Enphase. She's still holding. It's just taking it sweet time over here. We actually definitely got into my area where I had a resting profit order, and then we just, I guess, because of the spread, we just never got filled. That's okay. Netflix pulling back a little bit. Still very much within my area of interest. If we break below this EMA, I might take my profits and run sprinting for the hills. Take this off my watch list. Pun almost always intended with me, so you can take that how you will. Also, someone was asking why, I think it was ChatGPT, fantabulous name, why don't we trade options? We don't really have options to trade. But we were talking about options yesterday with regards to how you can use strangle and straddle options for earnings. So you can definitely check out that if you missed that. But yeah, we don't really talk or trade options in general, unfortunately. So that is the update on that, or that is the take on that. But yeah, I think also too, apparently NVIDIA breaking 694, NVIDIA breaking 695 NVIDIA, oh my gosh.
Can you believe this? Can you
The
believe
flat
this?
top break came through.
This is the thing, man. And this is why I didn't want to get out just at 695 here. I wanted to let this one run, but we had just de-risked too much on this ascent upward here initially. You're always upset as a trader. That's the thing, right? Like you always want a better fill. The Katina man is short a firm at 444.90. Because that's a high day. 87, 440, come on, Sharif, 44.87 short, Katina man. It's at printing right now, 44 1/3. So keep your eye on the chat as the Katina man is often putting his positions in the chat. But this is what I want to talk about here as we did break through 695 on NVDA and we were looking possibly for that 696. It comes back down to 694 holds on NVDA. So to be expected, you're going to have these $2 whipsaws on a $700 name. That is, I think that's just normal. Whether or not, I can weasel my way into this trade again, an entirely different story. I don't know if this 694 dip is the right move here. I don't want to get back too much on this name, but if there is a trade to be had here at 694, then I should be considering it. Keeping an eye on this one. The other trade that is kind of boring me to death is this meta trade as we're kind of always staying below 469. Can't really seem to get our legs under us. And I want to show you the 5-minute chart here because the 5-minute chart is showing an epic struggle between buyers and sellers. Look at these continuous candles of indecision, these doji candles, one after the other. They're all end up red, but these, don't let that fool you. These are indications of indecision where the market doesn't know, or not the market, but there's a tug of war between buyers and sellers happening at this level, not allowing it to propel through 469 with any vigor, especially touching 470. So I want to see what resolves of this chart pattern over these candlestick patterns, mind you, on Meta, because showing a lot of indecision right now during a time when you are getting a nice move up on some of these names. Microsoft's pumping, Amazon's moving up, while Tesla had a 18958 high a day, so on its way possibly into that 189 level. And as I talk about that, Meta is coming into my my price here, my entry at 21. So I'm going to have to really keep my eye on this one, because if it comes down into my price here, I'm going to end this. How many shares do I have left? Let me have a look here. So I have 2 outs left on Meta, so I can absolutely take the risk to let it come a little bit closer to my entry, even if the spread is a little bit wider. It's not going to make much of a difference for me. I already have 2 more outs. But yeah, Meta not really going with the flow right now, and a little weaker, ironically, even though it's the strongest of the Mag 7 names on the day, being up 3%. So we'll have to see what we get here on Meta. And yeah, it's coming right back down.
Yeah,
So Katina Man's printing on a firm.
Congrats to Sean with that affirmative trade there. Nice, yeah, congrats on that. You said, the Meta's kind of a boring trade. I have 2 boring trades, if that makes you feel any better. So you just have the one. I mean, I have Enphase. Enphase is chilling. Enphase is, I wish I had more to say. Enphase, please get your life right. Sincerely, Adara. That would make me really happy. It's not even breaking below my area of interest, which is like, this area around the EMA. So I can't even leave. I'm just watching her languish in real time, and it's really hard to see. But also Netflix. Netflix we're still up on, mind you, but I would just like it to get a little bit of oomph so we can get out. I have my last profit order slightly above 566. Initially it was higher, but we had a really hard time getting back to that 567 area. I saw that. I was like, that's okay. If you can get to 566, I'll be pleased as punch. At this point, really losing my patience here, though, with both of these unfortunate trades. Actually, a couple of earnings names I want to look at here, too, as we head into the evening. ARM. Some people mentioning ARM, so let's see if this one. Oh, my gosh, ARM. Oh, my. Sorry, I got really excited there. Talk about a flat top, 74.80. We blow above it. We are, getting close to about, if you got in on that breakout, you are almost, actually, depending on where you got in, you're probably about $1 in the money there at ARM, so nice look there. We had a bit of it looked kind of top and turn-ish. Then we fall below that flat top. We come right back, test it once more, break it to the high side. If you're involved in this trade, really nice look there as we head into earnings. Also, this double bottom, 72.60 is interesting. I'm a little bit sad I wasn't looking at ARM earlier, gotta say. Should have had that one on my radar. But alas, a very good look. Let's look at the daily heading into earnings today. Short Smeller is saying ARM is swinging for the fences. Can't disagree. You know, of those September IPOs, I would go on a wager and say that that this chart is the best by far. If we're talking Klaviyo, if we're talking Instacart, this to me seems to have one of the better looks. Look at this move. We had a couple, you know, we fell down a little bit here. Scotiabank double bottom 46. We come once, twice, 3, 4 times hitting that 55, jump above it. Consolidation for a bit around that 61, 63 level, push above that. Now, this is where I think things get really interesting for ARM as we head into earnings tonight. Apologies for my overview here of this chart, but I like to get a whole sense. Flat top. Oh, I moved that accidentally. Flat top here around that 79, lower high, or higher low, higher low, higher low. I think that if ARM can break that 79, it could be blast off time for ARM.
Blast.
You know, it could be breaking. We could have ARM breaking to the upside. Arm and a leg. I don't know. He's just throwing out puns at the wind at this point. But I think this is a really nice look, and I wish I was in this instead of that that slightly painful end phase trade. Shout out to end phase. Please move. Sincerely, Adara. But yeah, ARM, and I also want to look at Disney going into earnings tonight.
Oh yeah, good call on that.
Yeah, because I was just looking at the ARM, but now let's look at the House of Mouse.
Go for it.
Yeah. Okay. Let me. Oh, I'm on the daily. Okay. Let's start with the daily. Whew. Okay. I like this look. This triple bottom, mostly more double bottom, that 79, bounce. Bit of a double top here, a triple top at that 85. We break out of that range decisively. We climb to 95. Then we kind of peter out. A little bit of a stutter step or stair step to the downside. We come to 90. 90 is that area had a little bit of top and turn earlier. 90 is also an area we consolidated. If we want to go back to that June 2023, some consolidation around 90. So I think 90 is a key level for that double bottom. Or not double bottom, sorry, that bounce at 90. Then we break above. We decidedly break that earlier top, that area around 95. We come back. Are we coiling into 100? We'll have to wait and see on that. But I think certainly a strong upside look for Mickey Mouse and his pals. Also, we got out of Netflix, thank gosh. Can you please join us at End Phase, asking for a friend? But yeah, no, I think Disney, really strong look here. I think also, you know, if we break 100, I will be watching that 102 level because that was that earlier top and one of the highest levels we've been at in some time. That was May 2023. Then I'm going to keep an eye on that 112 area. That is my look here on Disney, and that is my chart read, and I'll stand by it. That's where I'm sticking to it. You were pumping your fist over there. How was that going?
I was pumped about Meta popping back up and not stopping me out, but we still haven't taken the beak wetter, guys. Holo, H-O-L-O, broke through 11. Now the high a day on Holo is 11.28, so essentially 11 and a quarter, but it did not hold it, at least not for now. So all my Holo heads out there, I know you guys are pumped, you guys are pumped. But, you know, we're going to need the whole dollar level to hold. Otherwise, you know, I don't like it. And especially if it breaks down below this 1020, that'll be a newer low. You're not going to see me involved in this name at these levels, which is totally fine with me. I'm not going to get the FOMO on this name, not at these levels. It's hard to justify risk reward here. I mean, it could run another $10, but how do I know, right? Right back up to 11. Here we go with 11 again. There's decent size here, nothing crazy at $11. I'm watching the book. We're not able to break through 11 again. Let's see if we're able to take it on a closing basis. At least show me one 1 minute candle that closes above that 11 level. We didn't have that. It was a topping tail candle, and the close was right. Where was the close? It was right at 11 actually, or 10.99. So we're having trouble, unsurprisingly, at 11 bucks, but something tells me 11 comes and goes quite soon. That's fine. All right, keeping an eye on that. Obviously, keeping an eye on Meta. People are yelling about Rumble as well, and I was just talking to somebody in the chat. I said I like that look at Rumble. Rumble's at 8 bucks, so they were thinking maybe short Rumble here, 8 bucks. Well, that's the thing. I mean, you're gonna have to put your stop awfully close. 806. Now there you go. We're moving up here on Rumble. 807 on Rumble. Rumble's up now, 4 1/4. So Rumble's moving. It's not moving aggressively, but it's a decent move midday like that. In order to, you know, I'm not really seeing anything on Rumble either, other than the fact, you know, we have some obviously headlines coming out from Donald Trump yesterday with respect to Budweiser, this, that, and the other. That could probably maybe help Rumble move. Personally, I don't know. I don't see anything right now on it. So we'll have to watch. Nate Belt says, Holo high a day. Yeah, we're still keeping an eye on Holo here, Ram, as this one does the dance with no pants with 11 bucks, 625% to the high side. Tai says, check Palantir. We've been looking at Palantir essentially all day. The Katina man was printing on this one earlier with big boy size. He was like well over $1 in the money. This one's kind of topping out for whatever reason at 23 3/4. We're at 23.70 now. It was a hell of a VWAP hold. This was really where I would have gotten in if I traded this. I probably wouldn't have got in here where the Katina man got in. This is his modus operandi to get in on these volatile moves. To me, I'm a slow trader. I need something a little bit more, safe to trade, and this would have been my entry on Rumble. We actually called this out live on the show, right? We said, you're going to get in here. You're going to have to put your stop a little bit below 23 because that's where VWAP was trading at. So it continues to pump to the high side, but whether or not we get a high day break through the $0.75, we'll have to wait and see. Holo still not above 11. Continuing to watch that. How's our meta trade doing? Let's go back into META. Yeah, still 50 pennies, 60 pennies in the money on this one, but it's not able to take 469, and that's really kind of hampering the move because it was the strongest of the bunch, and now I guess the move's behind it because, well, it's not breaking through that level. I was anticipating even a 470 touch before we got off the show. We have 11 minutes left. I doubt really we're going to even get a 469 touch by the, 469, we'll get it easy. 469.5 touch by the end of the show. We'll have to wait. But the real strong one right now, believe it or not, is Softy.
Who, really?
Softy is at high a day Adara, and it really hasn't put in a lower low all day. I mean, look at this move on Softy. I mean, it's not up huge or anything. It's 1.82%, almost 2%. Closing price yesterday, 405, high a day, essentially 413, 412.92. So Softy continuing to head up here at high days as we speak. The other one that's at high days is your girl Tesla. This one also, it's not above the pre-market high, but it just made a new after the bell high, which is 189.59. We're right back up there again, right at that level. So Tesla continuing to go here as we inch closer to power hour. And the Fuge, well, the Fuge did fantastic today. The dips below 17.8, both of them were bought up with vigor. It was beautiful. This candle over here, this candle of indecision, this red one, that was the auction. So, you can kind of remove that candle from your analysis because we trended right back up subsequent to that candle of indecision. But it is now a 17.850 level on the Fuge. So we hold 17.8 quite well. And the other one, NVIDIA, still below 695. So not too disappointed with the fact that I got at NVDA at 6499. That is basically the end of that. Jonathan Soliday, SMCI has had a beautiful short off 700. Unfortunately, I missed it, they say. So let's have a look at Super Microcomputer. We haven't talked about SMCI all day, which has been, a little bit
blasphemous of us, yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? SMCI, how could we not? And he could not be more right. Adair, look at that, 699.77 top, and it has been down into the right, lower highs, lower lows, into 670. So that would have been a $30 winner on the $700 name.
Wait, did you say 679 on SMCI?
699.77.
SMCI, where did you get here?
$700 Adair. But did we have a higher print yesterday? No, we didn't. So essentially, for all intents and purposes, we did hit a 700, even though not, exactly. We can just agree that we hit 700. The other name that you were talking about, ARM, how's that doing? High a day, Adair, 75.84. The chips are starting to pump here. You've got ARM up almost 4%. Taiwan Semi up 3.7. I was talking smack about Taiwan Semi the other day, saying it's not a day trading stock. Well, there you go, up more than 3% after the bell rung. You got NVIDIA up 1 3/4, AMD up 1.5, ASML even the Dutch name up 2%. So good luck for chips here. And let's have a look at Holo. Not above 11 yet, still doing that dance. But guess what is on the way up, Adara, into 190? Your friend TSLA, new high day on Tesla, up 2.5%. Good look for this name. I'm in it. I'm involved. I got 10 shares, baby.
More shares than the shareholder that's
yeah. And hopefully more shares to come. Again, I'm going to be dollar cost averaging from here on forward into Tesla with small amount of shares because I don't want to feel like I have to DCA heavy in order to break even. I'm going to really take my time building into this position on Tesla, my personal account. If that means missing the move and having a little bit of share, that's fine. I'll take that. I will also be adding to my Apple, my not swing, but it's more of a long-term hold on Apple. Every time it dips into that 180-ish area, maybe high 170s, I will definitely be adding to Apple on my personal account there. I believe in both these companies, whether in the short term or the long term.
Yeah, no, I think, and like I said, you have a lot of support there on Tesla shareholder Twitter, which is a new part of the internet that I find really entertaining. Because they believe in Elon, and that's actually a whole community, so that's very neat there. Yeah, a couple ARM puns I'd like to highlight. AI simulation, I love that name for one, and I love your comment even more. ARM has legs. There's also Bbot. Saying that our arm pumping like Sharif's arms, which I thought was pretty funny that I wanted to shout out. Bbot something. Yeah, thank you, Zion Lala, for Netflix. I did get out of Netflix. It was about $1 in the money for both these little outs. This one, I maybe I could have saved, could have stayed in with that piece of the dream, but we were kind of petering out a little bit and seeing some weakness in some of those Mag 7s, so I left. And of course, Enphase decided to pump once I left because it broke way out of my area of interest. For shame, Enphase. No, I'm joking. It's fine. This one was just a little frustrating because it's like, you know, when you have your profit taker set up and then it just goes like a couple cents below where you're trying to get out. That's what happened with Enphase. That's why it was a bit frustrating. Would have been fine had that not occurred. But that's okay. No hate on Enphase. No, I'm joking. It's fine. But yeah, so just trying to learn a little bit with every trade, learning, growing hopefully, and there we go. It's crazy. I cannot believe I'm saying this. My most successful name today by a large margin was the SPY. First time I traded the SPY. Really happy with this, I have to say. Just kind of taking advantage of pops here earlier, and then this one was a whole VWAP scalp. Obviously, I got out a little bit early, but you know what? No regrets. Shout out to the Millers. Really just taking this pop off VWAP, getting back in. We never went back to VWAP, so I never got back in, but congrats to anybody on the SPY. And you know what? I'm really happy with this. And thank you so much to Bears versus Bulls saying for great shows and great trades. Thank you to you, Bears versus Bulls. Great moderator, fantastic, and I love all the funny comments. World's greatest moderator, J. Cal, who are you? No, we're joking. But you know, speaking of podcasts, please watch our podcast every Saturday morning. Great stuff on all the podcast platforms. I like watching it on YouTube because you can see like all the reactions to all the cool little charts. But there's also on Spotify as well and other podcast platforms. I am not very well versed in the podcast world, but hit it up. How's Meta going? You got a beak wetter?
Which one has video, Ramram? Spotify has video as well.
Thank you. I didn't know that. Thank you, Ramin.
Okay, guys, we just got the print right now on META as it did break through that 469.5. Please this punch. Have one last out right now on Meta. Going to wait for this one, maybe to touch 470. We'll put a beak wetter there. But guys, tomorrow, the lesson. Make sure to join us tomorrow as we continue to talk about earnings. Tomorrow, we will be talking about Ram. We'll be talking about fade the earnings gap. Okay, I know a lot of people love that. We'll be talking tomorrow about fading the earnings gap. Make sure to check us out tomorrow. Adair and I will be here again 11 o'clock, and we will be covering earnings as we are all week. And so apropos, because we are in earnings season. Fading the earnings gap, that's tomorrow's lesson. Make sure to be here.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's great too. You know, we love in the wild examples here, and so many examples are going to be in the wild here with earnings actually being in full swing. So I'm really happy we're talking about this now. Some stuff like Meta, what you're involved in, might be a little bit harder to fade the earnings gap when you gap up from 400 to almost 500. But you know, we'll definitely find some real world examples, and I think it'll be a really fun time to trade. Also, Netflix dropped like a rock, because I still have that in my side chart. And same with drop it like a rock.
Drop it like a rock star.
That's funny. I think we're singing two different songs there too.
Yeah, probably.
Good times. Yeah, no, this Netflix triple top-esque. We fell with the viciousness. We shall see what we shall see. Yeah, little baby scalp there. Yeah, I mean, I think
my teacher used to say that when it wasn't even my teacher, it was a professor, right? U.S. history professor, second year. Never forget. They say, well, you know, we'll have to see what we'll have to see, or like, we don't know what we don't know. He's like, thank you for telling me a meaningless tautology. And that's what that is, and I didn't know what a tautology meant until that point. And you know, you always end up learning these like key words at times where you don't really want to learn them. You want to know them before, because I looked a little bad there when I was like, what is tautology? Right, but anyway.
Yeah, no, I like that.
Womp. Guys, we are headed south here on Meta. We're going to take out the last little bit as it does break through 468. Wow, bamboozlement here on Meta. We got that 469.60 pop, and then look at it just absolutely tank. $2 right down to 467.80. Not sure what's going on with that, but it stays above VWAP, but we're not going to give this one any more room. We'll take out that last little bit. Profitable trade on Meta, profitable trade on NVIDIA on the day, pleased. And we'll leave you, I guess, with some final thoughts here. Tesla looks to be awfully strong right now as it accumulates at that, where is it? At that 190 area. A lot of strength coming in on Tesla midday. The other one that's been awfully strong as well is Softy. That looks to be at highs day as we speak right now, coming into that 413.25. Excuse the wicks here. Sorry, it's distorting the chart. But yeah, Softy awfully strong. And Amazon also awfully strong as well, as it is at high day as well, coming into that 171 area. Keep your eye on those three, as well as NVIDIA, obviously goes without saying because it's up 2%. Dead money today has been Apple, quite frankly, and Google as well. Google has been off in a very tight range today. Keep your eye on those guys, and I think you should be good with the big kahunas as they take you into the Power Hour.
Yeah, so many things that we hit today. Hopefully you guys had a good time. We learned some stuff, and we definitely made a lot of trades between the two of us and everybody in the chat. But we're going to have to wait and see you tomorrow with some earnings gap plays to fill some gaps in our learning. For now, though, thank you so much to everybody. We will be sending you back over to the big test, but we'll see you tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel. Let's go to Brendan.
Hey guys, yeah, welcome in. 2 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon here. Just be aware, Fed's Bowman just making some comments, released a speech, pre-written speech. No comments on monetary